16th year at Florida State. Again, the #1 bowl record in the coaching ranks. 10-3-1 on the career. This stadium about to explode as the Aggies are about to enter. The Southwest Conference champions by 3 full games over Arkansas, Baylor, and Texas Tech. The first undefeated Southwest Conference season for A&M since 1956 when Bear Bryant coached them to the Cotton Bowl. And here is the nation's number 9 ranked team, the Texas A&M Aggies. And R.C. Slocum in his 3rd year. What a great job he has done as the Aggie coach. Working the sidelines for us today will be Jim Gray, and let's check in right now. Jim, take it away.
All right, Jim, everybody knows about Florida State's high-powered offense, but they call the Texas A&M defense the wrecking crew, and well, they should. They're the #1 ranked defense in the entire nation, as they give up just an average of 13 points per game to their opponent. Now, this defense is led by Quentin Coriat. He was the Southwest Conference's Defensive Player of the Year, and many professional scouts believe that Coriat will be the top pick in the upcoming NFL draft. He, along with a brilliant defensive backfield anchored by All-American Kevin Smith, know that Casey Weldon and the Florida State offensive unit will be the best that they have faced this year.
He does a great job executing things. They don't really try to bomb you deep like the University of Houston. They don't really try to run you in the ground like Arkansas. They do different things, and when you do different things, you have to have a quarterback that can be real smart, and that's what really strikes me with him.
Now, the Aggie defense has worked very, very hard to get that #1 ranking, but they've been very quiet about it this week, Jim Nance, during the Mobile Bowl, the Mobile Cotton Bowl, because they haven't wanted to serve as a motivator for both the Florida State offense and defense. Jim?
All right, Jim Gray, we'll look forward to reports from you throughout the day. It's a cold day. They're expecting it could drizzle throughout. We'll be back with the kick. A&M and Florida State after this.
CBS Sports coverage of the 56th Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic is sponsored by Mobil and new advanced formula Mobil 1, Pepsi, and by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America, the cars more people depend on.
Well, Texas A&M won the toss, elected to defer until the second half. Florida State will receive the opening kick. 46 degrees. There is some light drizzle in the area and just light winds. Terry Venetoulias will tee it up for the Yankees. Terry, some last thoughts before kickoff.
You're going to see some pretty exciting football. One of the real things that stands out, Jim, in getting ready for the game, and I think the viewers are going to enjoy this, is the outstanding speed on both defenses. I mean, these guys, their linebackers and their corners and safeties are unbelievably fast.
Well, one of the defensive stars with great speed and could be such an impact in this game is back deep to receive for the Seminoles. I'm talking about Terrell Buckley. This kick going away from Buckley over to Tiger McMillan, running it back and stopped inside of the 20. Kevin Smith on the A&M tackle, and here's Casey Weldon, the senior from Tallahassee. Runner-up to Desmond Howard for the Heisman. In the backfield, Edgar Bennett, a senior, and Sean Jackson will start since Amp Lee is no longer a member of the team. The Florida State receiver, Kez McCorvey, and Matt Pryor. The tight end is Lonnie Johnson. Florida State to start the Cotton Bowl from the 18-yard line. Little play action to Jackson right away, looking long and almost caught by Lonnie Johnson, but broken up by Chris Cromes. Now, the offensive line for Florida State. Terry, take me through it.
You're going to look at Roberts. This is Baker, the center. Reggie Dixon, left left guard. Mike Morris be your right guard. And then Robert Stevenson, 52, left tackle. Kevin Mancini, right tackle, back after having arthroscopic knee surgery. First game back. Hurt that knee in the LSU game. Big, strong, drive blocking type team. Will not pull a lot of people.
Shannon Baker has come into the bottom of your screen as a receiver in from McCourty on 2nd and 10. And they set up a reverse for Baker. He comes in right away. A little trickery. Baker gets to the corner, gets the first down at the 33-yard line. Finally stopped by Derek Frazier. He broke away from Otis Neely. And let's meet the Aggies on defense. Senior Mark Wheeler at the nose. Sam Adams, the defensive newcomer of the year in the Southwest Conference, along with Teichelman. Here are the linebackers, top tackler Atkinson and All-America Coriat. Buckley was all Southwest Conference, and Otis Neely mans the other side. In the secondary, Kevin Smith, he's an All-America, along with Derek Frazier. In on the last tackle. Combs and Bates are the safeties for the Aggies. 1st and 10 for the Seminoles from their 33. First carry by a running back, and it's Sean Jackson for maybe 3. Coriat plugged the middle for the Aggies.
You know, what you're looking at, I want to go right back to the reverse, Jim, by Baker. That is only the 6th reverse all season. And when Bobby Bowden was asked, why not more gadgets, why not more reverses by your receivers, he simply stated that our receivers are not good reverse runners. Well, Baker coming out, surprised A&M early.
2nd down and 7. On a rollout, Weldon will fire it, almost intercepted by Kevin Smith. Ooh. And it would have been a quick 6 for the Aggies. That was intended for Matt Pryor.
One of the problems is that Weldon, notice, will get out to the right side. Now, this is good thinking because of the aggressive nature of the linebackers. Notice the linebacker missing. Now, Weldon should have had the ball gone now, but he waits too long, allowing Smith time to adjust. Doggone near intercepted the football. Once again, though, understand Weldon is throwing into the wind.
Now, Smith tied for all-time interceptions in the Southwest Conference, 20 on the career, almost added another one. 3rd down and 7. Slot formation right. Weldon setting up a screen to that side to Jackson, and Frazier stops him in the open field.
Well, now you know, or you get an idea of what I talked about earlier, Jim, about the speed. The speed of Frazier at cornerback. One of the problems was the center that time, Baker, slipped. His run block assignment that time was to come over and get support. The support guy for A&M was Frazier.
Steve Allen will snap it to Scott Player. A little high. He fields it. This was a real low punt coming to Kevin Smith, who ran 2 back this year for touchdowns from the 20. Trying to get out of the traffic. Will make it to the 25. And we'll see the Aggies on offense for the first time. 48-yard punt, 4-yard return. Noles and Aggies early in Dallas.
How much insulation do you have in your attic? 3 inches? 6 inches? Well, the Department of Energy recommends R38 for most American homes, which is equivalent to a foot of Owens Corning pink fiberglass. So grab a ruler and measure your attic insulation. Then get rolling. And get a foothold on your energy bills. For more information, call 1-800-GET-PINK.
Over from its 24-yard line with quarterback Bucky Richardson, 5th-year senior from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. When you look at the 2 deeps on the roster for the Aggies, he is the only player from outside the state of Texas. Running backs Carter and Greg Hill, the sensational freshmen. Harrison and Mitchell, 2 young receivers, a freshman and a sophomore. Shorp is the tight end for A&M. This is the highest scoring team in Aggie history. They'll snap it for the first time from the 24. Marvin Jones is not starting for Florida State. At linebacker, Ken Alexander replaces him here in the opening minutes. freshman, Ken Alexander. Here's the Aggie offensive line. Dowson starts it at center, continuing a long family tradition with A&M. Harrison and Ellisor are the guards. Wesley and Alex, the tackles. How do you like the A&M line, Terry?
I like big line, exactly, just like Florida State. Big, fast. Once again, they will pull their off guard, their left guard.
2nd and 5. And Greg Hill to the outside and runs out of bounds near the first down marker. Dexter Wesley was blocking on that left side for him. Give him 6. Looks like it's going to be an A&M first down.
You know, it's an old theory about the I formation. What it allows a back to do is simply just pick and read the hole. The line blocking, Jim, is really not that fancy. You just get on the guy in front of you, and then hopefully if he moves one way, the back sees it and cuts the opposite.
1st and 10, A&M from the 35. Hill to the right side. And Hill falls for 4. Looked like he could be stopped for no gain, but he's able to eke out about 3 yards, maybe 4. Going against James Chaney on the nose for Florida State. Ostazuski and Simpson on the line as well. Alexander in for Jones, who missed a curfew this week. Jones is suited up. Carruthers is the other linebacker on the inside. Freeman and Dinkins on the outside. All-America Terrell Buckley. On the corner with McCorvey, Davis, and Fowler are the safeties. Let's call it 2nd and 7 for A&M. Option right. Richardson keeps, leaps, and stops about 2 yards shy of the first. Kirk Carruthers hit him high.
One of the things you have to like about Bucky Richardson is the fierce competitor that he is. And Jim, I want to point out, one of the things you always look for in the guy at the quarterback position, the leader on your football team, is can this guy win? And if you look at the bowl experience of Bucky Richardson, this is his 3rd bowl. His freshman year, he was the MVP in this Cotton Bowl against Notre Dame and MVP last year in the Holiday Bowl. So he is playing big time in the big games.
3rd and a very long yard to go, and Florida State may have jumped. Flags are down, a mishandled snap. Kirk Carruthers has the football.
Flag down before the ball is snapped.
That's really smart. If this is against Florida State, that's a good job that time by Dawson, the center, because he just went ahead and snapped the ball when the nose tackle got across the line of scrimmage.
Right you are, as Jack Baker indicates.
Offside on the defense, 5-yard penalty, first down. Long count. You love it in big games. People normally can't stand to sit still. They got to get off. Evidently, Bucky Richardson changed his inflection in his voice and got Chaney to jump.
You know, talking to R.C. Slocum, he expressed just how much Richardson has meant to the program for the last 5 years, since he did have a redshirt year, but also how he gets so emotionally up for these games, so charged, Terry, that sometimes you have to taper him off.
He does. He gets so carried away with him that R.C. said he had to pull him down and get him and calm him down. But if you look at this, one thing about a guy that's super hyper like Bucky Richardson, he primarily is a runner, and that will not affect a runner nearly as much as it would a passer.
First down for the Aggies near midfield. Throwing for the first time, wide open Hill out of the backfield. And he has another A&M first down.
The counter option, Richardson opening to his right, gets the floor of the defense away, then comes back wide open out in the flat. This is an excellent job. Notice Richardson going to the left, holds everyone inside. Notice the linebackers now out in the flat is Hill. And if you're going to throw against Florida State, primarily a man-to-man team, you want to throw it on these corners, because man-to-man corners normally are not good tacklers. They're the kind of guys, Jim, that just like to grab and hang on.
Richardson has a strained tendon in his throwing arm, a sore arm that has limited his throwing in practice this week by about a third. But he comes back firing again, incomplete this time, intended for Tony Harrison.
Yeah, excuse me, Jeff. See that? See, if Bucky was calling his own plays and could make the adjustments anytime you have play action with bump and run on the outside, you're doing play action, you know, you might as well forget it. The best thing the receiver could have done is just go down the field.
Richardson strained the arm in the game against Arkansas. Went the last 3 games, not 100% throwing-wise. 1 of 2 in this game on the opening drive. 2nd and 10 pitch. Hill has the corner. Hill to the 30. Hill's going to break it to the 10, 5, and is he in? Oh, they stop him inches shy. Much to the chagrin of the Aggie partisan crowd.
Oh, man, what a great job. Not only was the execution by Richardson and Hill excellent, the key to this was the blocking downfield. Check this out, Jim. You'll love this. Richards comes out. There's your pitch. But notice right here, the corner comes up, Mitchell comes out, and just flattens and opens up the lane for Hill. Look at this. Down the line, there's your option. There's your pitch, and look at the block. Outstanding.
And they mark him outside of the 1. Second glance, I thought.
Good eyes, huh?
I thought Hill may have made it. I thought he made it. But it'll be 1st and goal to go, and 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends in for the Aggies. Jason Matthews and Steve Segraves. Here, let's determine that. Of course,
I think college rules are just like pro rules, aren't they? If you get the ball across the line, isn't that a touchdown? Let's see if he breaks. Oh, I see what happened. He
fumbled the ball.
He fumbled it through the end zone. That should be Florida State's ball, shouldn't it? That should be Florida State's ball if it went across the goal line and through the end zone and out. I mean, me of the knowledgeable rules of college football, I would think that should be Florida State's ball.
You know, the officials are huddling, Terry. No.
Now, look at this. Now, there's the fumble. The ball stays in bounds, goes through the end zone and out. That's Florida State's ball on the 20.
They are huddling the officials.
Well, they don't have it.
No instant replay booth up here in this one.
That's a shame.
Not at the college level. They definitely did fumble before the goal line, and Errol McCorvey was the man who stripped it free from him.
Well, you know, when you have people in position to make decisions, they make them and you live with them. That's one thing I like about it. It's a human thing. What's this? So that's the rule. From the fumble where it went in and was in possession of the Aggies, where it crossed, where the fumble occurred, then it turns over to the defensive side. So it's Florida State's ball.
And A&M's defense come onto the field knowing that the crowd is down after what they thought was going to be an apparent touchdown or touchdown opportunity from the 1. With the wrecking crew raising the arms and saying, we'll stuff them.
Now, one of the things we might look for here, A&M has put in a safety blitz. They have not had a safety blitz all year, Jim, and they want to do it on 1st down when Florida State least expect it. So look for them to be very aggressive either with their safeties or blitz their linebackers.
Of Florida State rolling out. And Weldon, that's a safety.
I want you to watch this. One of the things you have, and if you roll out, Jim, is the option of a short man or to run it or to throw it deep. But look what happens. The short man that time has to block. Now the linebackers pursue, and notice also out in the flat, there was no way that Weldon could throw the ball to the receiver. Excellent coverage by the Aggies.
Southwest Conference Defensive Player of the Year, Quentin Coriat. What a bizarre situation. Fumbling at the 1, and since the ball was fumbled through the end zone, they gave Florida State the football back at the point of the fumble, and just one play later, the Aggies stuff them for a safety.
And you know what else amazing is you notice that Weldon is rolling out a lot, and what that's designed to do is to give him time so he can avoid the sacks.
A&M had a school record 56 game. Now they'll have the free kick from the 20-yard line. Get a report from Jim Gray.
All right, Jim. Jim, I was just talking to the official, and he said that his original call was that the ball was fumbled. The discussion that was going on the field was whether or not the ball went through the end zone or whether or not it had, in fact, gone out on the 1.5-yard line. So while as the discussion went on, they finally determined, without looking at any replay, that's not permissible here in college rules, they determined that it went out on the half-yard line. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, Jim, good report. Thank you. Scott Flair will punt for Florida State, the free kick. Remember Kevin Smith back here returning. He's a dangerous one. And he's breaking it to the 50 and down at the Florida State 47. 30 yards on the run back. And Greg Hill actually gave him a lead block. Aggies by a deuce in the first.
It's the last week of wintertime at your Chevy Geo dealers. And let me tell you, this wintertime has really been a hit.
Didn't you have one of those once in a amazing?
These fans, I love them. You can still get cash.
I've been in the headlines all year. Number one in the nation. Number one again. Number one again. Poor things lost by one to Miami, you know. And you hadn't heard that much about Texas A&M. Texas A&M's kind of sectionalized. You know, when you get thinking the whole conference is in one state, you know. And so I would think they're hungry. I don't think they like that one bit. They got a chance to show the nation by beating Florida State. And so, that scares me about them. It's about them, the hunger factor.
Well, there he is, Bobby Bowden. 5th straight 10-win season. And the Aggies now will start their second possession from the 47 of Florida State. Seminoles threatening blitz. They try to cross him up with a screen, and they overthrow Greg Hill. Let's go back to the Hill fumble, Terry, on the Aggies' last possession.
Well, this is my first college game, first game I've done in 2 years, but my initial thought was when the ball is fumbled, now watch this, it's in play, it bounces through the end zone, now out. At the touchback, that ball, I think, should go back to the 20, and that's what I said. Now the ref said it goes back to the 1-yard line, therefore they get the safety. I think the rule is, I think I'm right. I think the ball should have been placed on the 20-yard line.
Second down and 10. Running it with the fullback, Doug Carter, for about 2. And Jim Gray setting up word again from the sidelines that the officials have said that the key was he fumbled outside of the end zone and the ball carried on into the end zone.
Well, that goes back to judgment, and that's fine. They made their call. They stand by it, and that's good. You got to live with it.
3rd and 8 situation for the Aggies.
This is the ideal situation. Florida State wants to keep the Aggie offense. 3rd and 8. They don't fear their passing nearly as much as they fear their running. Blitz.
Straight drop back for Richardson and across the middle. Well, no one there. Flags are down. Actually, Greg Hill was in the area, and Kirk Carruthers was coming in on Richardson.
That's blocking downfield. I believe, Jim.
You got it. Tyler Harrison may have left a little bit early from the left guard position.
You know, in college football, you can block downfield as long as the ball is thrown behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, you know, if you throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage and catch it, you can have guys 10 yards, 15 yards down the field making blocks. That's okay, but if you go past the line of scrimmage, then the foul.
David Davis is the punter for the Aggies, a junior from Loop, Texas, L-O-O-P. Small West Texas town where he was the valedictorian of his high school graduating class of 8. And he'll punt to Terrell Buckley.
I could have finished high in that class, huh?
Top 10. And Buckley just waves it off. Aggies could stop it. They're standing on the goal line, however. That's a touchback and bring Florida State out with the football at the 20-yard line.
These guys are so hungry to get to the football. If you just held back a little bit, they had it down on the 1.
led Kentucky into its only Cotton Bowl appearance. Wildcat quarterback Babe Parilli threw a pair of touchdown passes to Emory Clark, and Clark added an interception off a TCU pass, leading Kentucky to a 20-7 win over the Horned Frogs back in the 1952 Cotton Bowl Classic. Fullback stopped from behind by Mark Wheeler after a 2-yard carry. Had a nice visit with Edgar Bennett this week. Terry, he drew some comparisons to his style of running.
I really think he tried to pull one over us, talking about he was like Thurman Thomas. And I didn't really believe him. I don't think he really believed himself, and he broke down laughing.
Second down and 9. Play action. Weldon steps away from the heat. Fires. Picked off by Patrick Bates.
Well, when we talked to defensive coordinator Bob Davie and we asked him about Bates, he said one thing he has, good vision and a quick break on the ball. Well, you talk about a quick break. Look at this. There's your break. Weldon thought he had his man open, but Bates coming across from free safety beats him to the punch, intercepts.
Bates, a UCLA transfer of the 29. Aggies going for the big strike right away. Oh, and the touchdown is dropped. Tony Harrison. He had Leon Fowler beat.
Leon Fowler, free safety. So many people underestimate the passing ability of Bucky Richardson. When we talk to him, he intends on playing pro football and playing this position quarterback. Nice throw. Look at that. Nice spiral. Good delivery. Hey, what's wrong with that? Just a bad catch. Perfect throw.
Didn't look like a sore arm on that one.
Not at all.
Second down and 10. And some movement on the left side of the Aggie line.
See what happened, Jim? Look what Florida State's doing now, lining 8 on the line of scrimmage, all out blitz that time. False start on the offense.
Florida State saw really only 2 option teams on the season, Syracuse and Virginia Tech, and at times they struggled in those 2 games, Terry.
Well, when we were getting ready for this game, talking to the Aggie coaching staff, that's the one thing they pointed out to us, that they had not seen an option run quite like their option because of their speed in their back and the ability of their quarterback, Bucky Richardson, to execute it.
Marvin Jones has come in for the first time. All-America inside linebacker, 55 for Florida State. Second down and 15 for A&M.
Audible.
Richardson getting away. Long pass caught and incomplete. Out of bounds. Tony Harrison with the grab, but out of bounds.
Wouldn't have mattered, Jim, because Harrison actually was knocked out way up on the 20-yard line. Great job, but look, he's coming back in on about the 15, and then he drops it again. No, he catches the ball now. He's out of bounds.
Terrell Buckley on the coverage.
Look at the top of your screen, folks. See, he's out of bounds on about the 20, the 18, comes back in, makes the catch, once again, out of bounds. Oh. I didn't see the backslide there.
Looked like he was preparing for the Luge next month in Albertville, France. Third down at 15.
Another blitz, Jim.
Going blitz. They run it with Carter, the fullback, down to the 29. And the Aggies will be 49er Michael Carter. Now, Terry Vinatulius will try to add points for the Aggies. This would be a career-long field goal for Vinatulius. 44 is his career-long. Sophomore from Deer Park, Texas. All this one 47 yards. Ryan Payne on the hold. And they wave it off. The kick would have been... Well, they got flags down. They got flags down for a delay penalty, I believe.
When they blew the whistles, they gave up on giving us an indication whether it was good or not. Dead ball, delay a game on the offense. Fourth down.
So that kick would have been good. And now they'll drop back into punt formation.
Whitley walk-off will be fourth down, 15.
And bypass what would be a 51, 52-yard attempt. Darrell Reed to snap it to David Davis. And again, just across the goal line, a touchback and a missed opportunity for the Aggies for the second straight trip. 3 actually in all. They've lived in the Florida State end of the field here in the opening quarter.
And they have the win, and you know, obviously you want to take advantage of the win at your back, and so far haven't been able to do that.
Randy Simmons is being, well, let's see here. That's actually Antonio Shorter being helped off the field, part of the punt coverage team for the Aggies. Here come the Seminoles from the 20. Edgar Bennett, he meets the wrecking crew. 2-yard loss after Jason Atkinson came up to make the play.
Strength of the A&M team lies inside. I want you to look at, notice guards pulling the back, gets in behind the guard. This is a play. You're not going to believe what I'm fixing to tell you. Atkinson, weak side linebacker, leading tackler on this team. But that underhand ball handling actually was a play that I gave Bobby Bowden about 8 years ago. You believe that, don't you?
I do. Good. Because he called you up and asked you a few things. More on that in a moment. Second down and 12. And Sean Jackson into Quentin Coriot. Back near the original line of scrimmage. Actually, Terry, Coach Bowden wrote several starting quarterbacks in the National Football League in the early 80s. He wanted to ask you guys about the short passing game. At that time, he said you were really the only guy who called it back.
Well, I called him back. He wanted, if Chuck Nolan's listening, he'll like this. He wanted 62 basic. That's what he wanted, and I gave it to him over the phone, and then we got into a long discussion about offensive football.
3rd and 10. That will not be enough for the first. The Aggies tried to wave it off, but Kes McCorvey with a sliding catch. It'll be 4th and 3.
Oh, man, I tell you, I really think Florida State will change their offensive thinking in their passing game because the sprint out, the rollout with just one receiver to that side because A&M is bringing people up. They can't get more people involved in their passing. Therefore, you're leaving no options for Weldon. They have to get back into the pocket. I don't think they have a lot of confidence that they can protect Weldon.
Smith waits. Player with a low drill back to the 32. Smith stutter steps for about a 3-4-yard return after a 40-yard punt. Reggie Freeman downfield for Florida State. And Terry, we'll put you back to work this weekend with NFC playoff action on CBS Saturday at 12 noon Eastern time. The NFL today will lead us off with the Falcons and the Redskins, and then on Sunday, late, the Cowboys and the Lions.
All you hear about, Jim, is redemption. The Falcons took a horrible beating at RFK, and the Cowboys got hammered in the Silverdome. Both teams thinking they're much better, and they can go up and win those games.
Again, Florida State, Carruthers jumping early. Here's the handoff, bouncing off Hill. Hill runs out of bounds near Falcons bounce back after that humiliation at Washington?
Yeah, I got to believe they can. I'll tell you, Jerry Glanville.
Penalty is refused. Second down.
Yeah, you know, Jerry Glanville has that team playing, and the real key in the playoffs, Jim, is when you're playing at your best. And I think both the Cowboys under Johnson and the Falcons under Glanville are peaking right now. And I guarantee you, the Lions and the Redskins know they're in for a tough game Sunday.
Now the Aggies refuse the penalty. Second down and 1. Derek Brooks is in for Carruthers on defense for Florida State. Carter fighting for the first, and he's near it. Doug Carter, a junior from Dallas. And there they signal first down for the Aggies. And let's rejoin Jim Gray on the sidelines. Jim?
All right, Jim, just before this offensive possession, R.C. Slocum gathered his offensive unit together and said, hey, guys, we're missing a lot of opportunities here. Let's be patient. We're dominating the game. This time, let's move down the field and get some points. We may not have those opportunities later in the game. Jim?
Double tight end formation for the Aggies. Hill is the single back. First and 10. Ooh, late pitch, and the ball is free. Florida State has it in A&M territory. And a Dallas youngster has the recovery. Clifton Abraham, who went to high school with Greg Hill, the man who was trying to handle the late pitch.
This is one of three options. This is the speed option. The problem that time was the pitch by Richardson a little bit late, I think. Hey, I was no option guy, but it looked like it was late, not to mention that it was high, therefore the fumble. Another opportunity.
Two old Dallas Carter High School teammates fighting for the loose ball, Hill and Abraham secures it for the Seminoles. With 4:29 to go in the first, Aggies lead it 2-0. Well, the man is open. Fryer at the 40. And a late hit.
Yeah, if you're gonna hit something, if you're gonna hit Fryer late, come on, just hit him on the A&M side. You know, where you got some help. Don't be hitting him over there. There's the hit. Fryer out of bounds. Now he's out of bounds, and now all of a sudden you see the big blow coming in from Atkinson. Plays are taking so long to develop offensively. Notice how long Weldon held the ball before he finally did throw it, and that was just a simple little 4-yard out.
Personal foul on the defense. 15 yards.
And the big step off will put Florida State inside of the 30. You've been talking this week, Terry, about how Casey Weldon has that Joe Montana look inside of the helmet. I've heard a lot of people talk about this year in college football.
He looks just like him. He handles himself, his ball handling, his delivery. He looks just like him.
First down from the 27. Short drop, quick fling over the hands of McCorvey.
We're looking at Casey Weldon, political science, bettered my PE degree, I guess. Of course, that's petroleum engineering. A lot of people probably didn't know that. He's a kid that actually said coming here, being ranked 5th, a lot of pressure off the Florida State team, having lost their #1 ranking to Miami, then losing to Florida. Last game of the season, lost 2 in a row, and he said, my chance to showcase my talents to the scout and really play a game for fun.
Second down and 10. Again, the heat comes on, and Weldon has to try to get it back to the line of scrimmage. He's flushed out by Pat Henry. But a flag on the field. Face mask against the Seminoles. Yeah, last word on that Montana comparison. Weldon says, hey, I've heard it so much. I don't mind the comparison, however, when people want to talk about size, because there have been some
stood next to him. He's about 6 foot, 6'1", 6'1 and a quarter. That's a fine size. You know, a lot of people say you have to be 6'5 and 6'6". Not many great quarterbacks in the NFL, 6'5 and 6'6". Most of the great ones, if you go and look at it, are 6'1", believe it or not. And when you stride to throw the football anyway, Jim, you bring your size down to about 5'10", 5'8". So find the alleys and let it rip.
That's what he's going to do here on 2nd and 26. Let it rip. Play action to Jackson. And here he is. Sean Jackson finally holding on to it and getting good yardage down to the 27. Reggie Dixon was out front helping block on that side.
Sean Jackson, excellent receiver. You know, one of the things about Florida State, their running backs, Jim, is the fact that they're all outstanding receivers. Jackson getting his chance to start in for Amp Lee, who's ruled academically ineligible for this game, doing a nice job on the screen, set his blocks up, and got as much as he could.
Coaches believe that Amp Lee will be back. He's going to go to junior college, get the grades back, and will re-enroll for the fall, his senior year of 92 at Florida State. 3rd down and 10. Here comes the rush. Weldon gets it away. It's Johnson inside of the 10.
One of the chances you take when you go against a team that understands blitzes is when these guys come, and they all come blitzing, you're man-to-man, you let them get by. When they get by, just take the tight end, drag him out. This guy's here, he's there, he's gone, and it's wide open. There's your blitz. Every linebacker on the team coming. Look at Johnson. Taking his time, 85, just waits, gets the ball. Excellent call.
Well, you asked Weldon, what have you improved on this year? He said, reading defenses and patience. He showed it on that play. 1st and goal from the 7. Sean Jackson off left tackle, banging around to the 5.
You know, this is a chance. A lot of people that follow Florida State, and I for one, since they're on national television every week, it seems like, one of the things that really struck me getting ready for this was their tight ends that had 8 touchdown receptions between both Johnson and Hart, but after the 5th game, nary a tight end that caught a touchdown pass. Maybe here, maybe it's a good time. Always love play action with crossing routes down this close.
They've got 2 tight ends in the game. Good fake. And now Weldon will easily score. Starting in at the last minute, but really untouched. 4-yard keeper for Weldon.
You know what he's thinking, Slocum? We messed around. We had it going. We had 3 chances to score. We got 1 score. We give these guys a break, and now this game's 1 point away from being tied up.
Talk about, Terry, the art of ball handling, because that was a beautiful fake by Weldon. We'll be showing you the touchdown in a moment. Now the extra point can make it 7-2. And Jerry Thomas's kick is good. 7-2. Florida State. 2 minutes to go in the first. We'll come back with the touchdown replay after this.
McDonald's presents future Olympic hopefuls, Carlos Tapia Ruano, and his innovative soccer style, Uda Grunewald, whose backstroke...
Well, in 7, notice he opens up to the left. Look at inside. He even fools our cameraman. Actually could have given it to Jackson. Look at everybody coming inside. A real gutsy call. Now look outside. Now he'll get on out here in the flat. Look at everybody run off. Nobody there. Gets a lead block. Doesn't really need it. Then into the end zone. One of the real gambles with play action on the goal line, Jim, is if they all out blitz you, you can't see it. And a lot of times you end up being sacked.
Impressive ball fake, though, wasn't it?
Lousy telestrator work, too.
You never did get good grades in penmanship, did you?
I'm good in the studio. It's simple.
Dan Mowry boots it. And out of bounds. Get a report from Jim Gray.
All right, Jim, Texas A&M is going to make no adjustments now. They're very happy with what's gone on other than what's on the scoreboard. So they're going to stick with their basic offense. They feel it's no time to panic. Just try and get some points on the board. That's the only thing that's gone wrong so far. Jim?
Well, Well, the Aggies' starting field position in this game has averaged out to the 46-yard line of A&M, so they've had opportunities, as you say. And they'll refuse the penalty and take the football at the 35-yard line. So, penalty, they automatically bring it out to the 35, and it's 1st and 10. Ryan Matthews in as a receiver. And a run out by Keith McAfee. McAfee on the carry and Alexander on the hit after a gain of about 3.
Yeah, most of the running that A&M has done is really the successful. I'm really surprised at it. Has been to the outside. You've got rain here in the Dallas area all night long. The field's wet. And therefore, when you have a wet field, you really neutralize the real quick cutting running back. But today I'm surprised at how well McAfee and Craig Hill have been able to cut on this surface.
Second team backfield, running backs of Simmons and McAfee, and keeping it Richardson near the 45. He'll be about a yard shy of the first.
You know, I recruited him, Bucky Richardson, for Louisiana Tech. This guy, I wanted him to come there and be a quarterback, and he was such a nice guy. I couldn't really put a lot of pressure on him. I just backed off and left him alone and encouraged him to make his own mind up. But, boy, they really wanted him there, and they wanted him to play quarterback. But he's had a heck of a career at A&M.
He said he got a bigger thrill out of talking to you than he ever did about getting even interested in going to Louisiana Tech. He didn't do much of a recruiting job on it. Both of his parents went to Louisiana Tech. Bucky's. And now moving across again. It's like James Chaney butting heads with Dowson.
What amazing how much Richardson has changed his cadence.
Encroachment on the defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's twice now the Aggies have drawn the Seminoles off to pick up a first down, move the chains. First 4 Aggie possessions. The fumble at the 1, a punt, another punt, and then a fumble.
And that's after great defense. We've seen some outstanding defense by the Aggies, especially in their secondary and their linebackers.
Final 50 seconds of the first quarter. First and 10 near midfield.
Blitz. Look at, he's changing the play.
Got plenty of time on the down clock. Still 10 seconds to go on the down clock. Secures the snap. Somehow shakes off the sack and throws it incomplete.
Two ways to beat a blitz. One is by throwing from the pocket with what they call hot routes. Another is just to have a quarterback that runs a 4.5 40 and have him just run into the blitz and then run away from it. The problem with Bucky is he's not getting any help from his his receivers are not seeing what's going on, and they're not helping him. They're not escaping.
Terry, there's a penalty marker on the field near the Florida State bench. Richardson may have been out of bounds when he threw it. Let's see.
On the defense, late hit out of bounds.
There you go. You can see he got a free ride all the way to the Florida State bench and over it.
Reggie Freeman. It looks like it's between Reggie Freeman and Kirk Carruthers. Let's see who gets there first.
The two teams have exchanged late hit penalties here in the first quarter. And an A&M first down from the Florida State 36. Into the line with Randy Simmons, and that could finish off play in the first quarter. A little bit of everything in that opening quarter, Terry.
Well, we had interceptions. We had a safety. We had linebacker blitzes. We've seen blitzes. We've seen scrambling. We've had 2 personal fouls. Yeah, I mean, that's the first college game I've been to. If they are all like this, this is pretty good stuff.
Good to have you with us. That's the end of the first quarter with the score. Florida State 7, Texas A&M 2. We'll return after After this message and a word from your local station.
Bowl Classic in Dallas, Texas. I'm Andrea Joyce. We're getting ready for the second quarter, and the Seminoles are leading Texas A&M 7-2. Now, let's bring you up to date on some of the other bowls in action. NC State is leading East Carolina in the Peach Bowl by 10 points. In the Hall of Fame Bowl, it's Syracuse over Ohio State at the half. And in the Florida Citrus Bowl, Cal is leading Clemson, that one in the second quarter. Now, let's send you back upstairs to Jim Nance and Terry Bradshaw.
Thank you, Andrea. The second quarter begins with the Aggies facing 2nd and 8 from the Seminoles' 34-yard line. McAfee and Simmons remain in the backfield for the Aggies. Looking pass all the way. Richardson sideline route. He connects with Ryan Matthews. That's an A&M first down.
Two ways you're going to look at A&M and how they attack Errol McCorvey on the outside, number 26, the right corner. If he's to the shallow side, the boundary side, Florida State will not rotate to help him. But if he's to the wide side, then what State will do is rotate their safeties to help him out. They want to protect him, but then on the other side, Terrell Buckley, 27, will always be left alone, man for man.
Carter is in for Simmons, and he's the single back. Short on a wing to the right, and Richardson calls for a timeout. It's the first timeout used by either team in the first half. And we'll take one with them. The Aggies driving, trying to reclaim the lead in the first half of the 56th Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic.
It's not easy being a truck.
Florida State, you have to win games to be recognized like that. Florida State's done that. They deserve that, and you got to beat teams like Florida State to get that kind of recognition. So this is a real good measuring stick of where we are on the national scene and how we match up with a team like Florida State.
Words from Bucky Richardson to a man the Aggies feel that they need to beat Florida State to show the nation that they can compete at college football's highest level. It's a young team. In fact, when you really add up the total starters for the top 25 teams in the nation, A&M has the largest number of freshmen and sophomores in the starting lineup for any ranked team. They have 11 freshmen and sophomores starting today. That's Cox. On 1st and 10, here's the toss. Hill back in the game. He fumbles again, and it's recovered by Florida State. Well, the first fumble was really an errant pitch, but this one was right in the hands of the freshman, and Leon Fowler has recovered.
This is the option. This is, once again, speed option to the outside. This is an excellent pitch. But notice there you see John Davis, the strong safety, waiting on him, puts his helmet on the ball. This is an excellent. This fumble was caused by the helmet, not necessarily just the tag. Watch this. Down the line, there's the pitch. Davis up, helmet inside. There it is. Maybe he aimed at it. Who knows? But don't forget, Phil's wet ball's got to be a little wet also.
I should also add the other Hill fumble on the opening drive. He has now turned it over 3 times, Terry. From the 25, Florida State. Faking the end around, staying in the pocket. Now coming back over to that side to Kevin Knox. He wasn't even looking up for it.
A gadget. We saw the reverse early. Now we're seeing the gadget pass off of that. You're going to love this. This is something Bobby Bowden loves to do. In motion, here comes the motion. Now you get the fake here, coming around here, fake this guy here, down the field. He'll actually come right over here and stop. Oh, what a mess that is. Look at this, out of the eye. Now fake it to him. There you go. Fool anybody? Nah. Now the flat. No good.
Tiger McMillan now in the backfield. Edgar Bennett gets the handoff and maybe lost a yard. He is smothered by Mark Wheeler.
If you go back to that gadget, what was it that Bob Davie, defensive coordinator, said? We went back 5 years on Bobby Bowden and studied his offense. They pick up all his gadgets, and over the 5 years, they found 15 totally different gadgets, and they practiced every one one of them.
After watching all those tapes, you sometimes feel the other team's going to try to show Florida State how to run a gadget play. I wouldn't be surprised to see one from the other side today. 3rd down and 10. No gain by Bennett on the last play. Bennett, a good receiver, but no room to run, and he's tackled at the 17 by Mark Wheeler and Marcus Buckley. Watch the speed of this rush. We're going to show you the speed of the wrecking crew.
Ground level. Here they come inside. Let them set them up, turn them loose. Eric England in there first.
Player with some pressure gets it away. Smith lets it roll favorably for Florida State. This will measure out as a big one for Scott Player. 57 yards on the punt. Let's check the backfield. They have put McAfee back in. Hill has to be shaken with the turnovers in the first half, so they're going with the backup, McAfee, a senior. And he carries the ball with a face mask, I believe. Reach it in there from Florida State. Dan Footman grabbed the face guard, I believe, Terry. So it's an all-senior backfield at the moment for A&M. Remember the one game the Aggies lost this year against Tulsa, they had to start an all-freshman backfield. Richardson missed that one game, the one that the Aggies lost this year. He was out with an injury.
Yeah, but their quarterback, Jeff Granger, he came in and threw for almost 300-something yards and 4 touchdowns with an all-freshman backfield. Got upset by Tulsa. A lot of people said it was an upset, Jim, but if you recall at the time, Tulsa was a nationally ranked team. I believe they were ranked number 12.
Tulsa winning the Freedom Bowl this week. 1st down and 3. Don't hear that very often. Simmons sideswiped at the 35-yard line. He's a yard short of the first.
Derek Brooks. There's a true freshman.
One of the top-rated, maybe by some, the top-rated defensive prep player in the country.
You're exactly right. He was number 10. I mean, I can't see him here. He's either one. I mean, I think that's Eric. Good job, Bradshaw. There you are. Coming inside. This kid was the number 1 sought-after defensive prospect last year. He's a true freshman.
They also got the top prep offensive player, Marquette Smith, 13 running back today. McAfee spinning for the first down. It was 2nd and less than a yard. However, a flag on the field. Here's a look at Brooks. Third time today, Florida State has been drawn off.
You know, I want to go back to this Brooks kid again because if I recall, Jim, he was a safety coming out of high school. He's only 6'2", I don't know, 210, 2'5". But now they've moved him to linebacker because he's so much like Kirk Carruthers, who's only about 210, you know, about the same size.
Look at all the pulling and tugging, Terry, on the jersey of McAfee, trying to prevent him from getting the first. The offside penalty moves the football near the 40. Rolling out and almost intercepted. Chris Coart had a chance at it. Go ahead, Jim.
Mickey Andrews, the defensive coordinator for the Seminoles is using some new hand signals today. He thinks it's been very effective. He wants his defensive unit to be very vocal out on the field. Feels that it's confusing Richardson, and they're not able to steal the old signals because they've changed them all today. Jim?
All right, Jim.
How do you figure them out anyway? You seen those guys give those signals? I mean, they're grabbing ears and hats and feet. I didn't figure that mess out.
All kinds of body parts. Second down at 10. And Richardson wanting to cut back with it, and he gains about 5. Interesting, they've been shuttling Marvin Jones in and out of that lineup defensively for Florida State. And Jones is on the field at the moment. Now he's coming out. See what the winningest quarterback in Texas A&M history, Bucky Richardson, can handle here on 3rd and 6. Decides to throw for it, and Buckley almost added to his interception total. Terrell Buckley had 12 interceptions on the season. Won the Thorpe Award as the outstanding defensive back in college football. Watch this one, Terry.
Yeah, when we talked to Richardson, he said we wouldn't shy down from Buckley, but sometimes it's wise. Notice that the receiver looks or appears to be wide open. There's Williams in there, Buckley coming off the slot. I really wonder why he would run that into the short side. It seemed like he'd have a better chance running out to the wide side. More room for Buckley to have to cover.
Richardson 2 out of 9 passing in the first half. Here's David Davis with no heat. As it headed to the far sideline, out of bounds inside the 30. 10:42 remaining in the second quarter. One touchdown so far. That's a 4-yard run by Casey Weldon. Coming to this grand old stadium on New Year's Day when a Texas oil man, J. Curtis Sanford, wanted to bring a major college football postseason game to Dallas. And today, the 56th annual Cotton Bowl Classic taking place, Texas A&M and Florida State. Damp conditions for an area of the country that certainly doesn't need any more rain. Severe flooding problems by the nearby Trinity River. Jim Nance along with Terry Bradshaw. Jim Gray on the sidelines and coming to the line of scrimmage, Florida State from its 27. Don Jackson. Look at him break through all the Aggies out to the 39, maybe the 38. An 11-yard run for Jackson, who runs with a lot of emotion. Those were the words of his running mate, Edgar Bennett. What does that mean, Terry?
I don't know. I had a hard time understanding it when he told. I just assumed that his nature is a quiet one, and that when he has the football, he turns into something that they're not quite used to. Aggressive runner, big kid. Bobby Bowden wants to see what he can do. You'll have him back next year.
Reminded Edgar Bennett, Sean Jackson did, of Sammy Smith, a former Seminole star. 1st and 10, they stick it in the belly of Jackson again. And look at him get to the outside, into A&M territory near the 40. Broke away from Sam Adams and Quentin Coriat to pick up 20. Get a report now. Jim Gray, come in.
Sean Jackson is an interesting story. You know, he's filling in for Amp Lee. But the interesting thing about it is before the BYU game this year, he met Jim Brown, and Jim Brown autographed his shoes. And he has not taken those shoes off in the game yet. They've kind of gotten a little washed out, but the autograph is still on the shoes. He's hoping some of it rubs off. Jim Nance?
5 carries, 39 yards for Sean Jackson. 1st and 10, they stay with the hot running back. Shakes off 2 defenders. And picks up nice yardage on a play that should have gone nowhere. Broke away this time from Jason Atkinson.
You know, one of the things I'm surprised at is that Jackson's going outside. Because when we talked to Bobby Bowden, he said, unlike Amp Lee, when we take him wide on these sweeps, Lee actually goes on the sweeps, but when we give it to Jackson, he historically has always cut it back up inside the tackle. So he's called him Downhill Jackson. That's kind of a nickname Bobby had for him. But we're seeing today. Excellent sweep running by Jackson.
Well, the umbrellas are out, Terry. Starting to drizzle. And they're going to add 9 seconds to the game clock. We have 9:51 remaining in the second quarter. Florida State 7, Texas A&M 2. Sean Jackson first got hot on the idea of going to Florida State at the Sugar Bowl 3 years ago. He was in the stands. He's a New Orleans kid, and he liked Deion Sanders and company when they were playing in that game against Auburn, and he decided to go there. Former high school quarterback, running it with the football again on 2nd and 4 and fighting near the first. Impressive drive here for Sean Jackson.
Pushes that under ball handling, and Bobby Bowden wanted me to explain to him. Notice how the ball is held in front. Look inside as Jackson. There's the head-on shot right there. Now he keeps piling, keeps driving, and Bowden said, hey, it's a chance for this kid to showcase his talents. Maybe I can find out what I've got, waiting on me next year. But if Lee comes back and this kid keeps running hard, who knows?
Jackson averaged over 6 yards a carry on the season. He's picked up 40 yards on this drive alone. Lined up in the eye. He's the tailback. 3rd and less than a yard. Good fake by Weldon. Looking downfield, and Fryer got mixed up. 2 Aggies on the coverage, including Kevin Smith. Patrick Bates the other.
This is an excellent call. Notice everyone's in tight. But the problem, once again, watch this. Open up, fake it. Excellent ball handling by Weldon. 1 receiver down the field with 2 men covering. You got to have somebody to be an escape valve, someone to help you out in case you're in trouble.
The wizardry of Weldon. What ball handling skills he shows. 4th and less than a yard. They're going for it. From the 32. And again, it's Weldon. Beautiful ball fake and a first down, Florida State.
Casey Weldon off the feet on the first down.
You run bootlegs. I mean, everyone knows this, but you run bootlegs on people that are overly aggressive to the outside. You're going to see, look, coming through the one cornerback. There's Buckley down inside. No one left to the outside. The support that time belonged to Buckley, number 9. He went in after the play fake, got lost.
First down from the A&M 27. Shannon Baker to the right. Oh, a fumble. Buckley was there, had the first crack at it, then followed up by Teichelman of A&M and a recovery for the Aggies.
Well, if you're looking at turnovers, the first thing that pops in my mind, Jim, is the fact that we've seen 3 tosses that have landed on the ground. So what does that tell you? Stop the pitch. Simple toss. There it is, right in the hands. But evidently Jackson was looking where he was going to run with it and took his eyes off the ball.
Lance Teichelman, 58, recovers for A&M. He has a brother who goes to Rice and was named the academic athlete, football player of the year in the Southwest Conference. Teichelman gets it back for A&M from the 31. It's Greg Hill. And the freshman for about 6. How slippery is the football right now? I mean, is it the weather that's causing all these rash of fumbles?
The football to throw the ball right now is really good because it gets kind of sticky, and you put a little more of your hand on it, so you don't really have a problem throwing the football. The problem you're having is you get the laces, you get a little water on. These kids have gloves. You get water on the gloves. Leather on leather becomes extremely slippery.
2nd down and 5. Hill with a hard run out to the 40, about a yard short. Cheney chopped them up for Florida State.
They put a lot of pressure on their guards, Harrison and Ellisor, the right guard. You're looking at him 51. And really, if you had to wonder why the Aggies weren't able to run inside, look at this. Harrison, 11 left guard has a broken right wrist, and Ellisor, the right guard, well, he has a broken left wrist, and when this game is over with, they're both going into the hospital to be operated on.
Third and less than a yard. Two tight ends in the game. The fullback lined up on a wing as well, trying to lead the block for Hill, and he is stuck. Leon Fowler coming up to stop the Aggies from moving the chains.
If you're going to run wide, if you're committed to the run, look at the shift. Notice all the people. There goes your shift. That's to set the front. Now, all Florida State does is just balance it up and just shift everyone back. That fools no one. If you don't in motion, maybe a little bit. But now they're getting wide. There's your wing set, and all they're trying to do is block down inside and let Hill go to the outside. It looked a little complicated, but it really was kind of simple, Jim.
Netted.
It's netted.
No
what?
yardage.
Nada, huh?
Nada. And A&M is nada on third down. They're 0 for 5 on the conversion chart. Look out for Terrell Buckley. He did not break one this year for a touchdown on punts. He had several the year before. Actually, in the opener this year, he had one called back. He's dangerous. Davis booms one. Buckley will have a chance to run it. And he is tripped at the 30. 41-yard punt, 11-yard run back. 6:20 remaining. Second quarter. Strange score of 7-2.
Jane, I'd like you to meet Peter.
A 35th straight year. All the fine folks down here we love being associated with. Jim Hoss-Brock, the executive director. Field Scoville, Mr. Cotton Bowl, and this year's president, John Stewart.
How you like, look at how you like Hoss's tie? Isn't that a dandy?
Hoss is wearing the green jacket. I didn't think he could get out of Augusta with one of those things. Supposed to leave him in the locker room. From the 31, Florida State. There's the toss again, Terry. Look out for the pass. Nope. Just juking is Jackson and getting back to the line of scrimmage. I thought for a minute there I was wise to it.
You were wise to Bobby Bowden because you know what he's got up his sleeve. This kid, Jackson, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he a quarterback in high school?
Yes, he was.
And recruited? Well, if you can establish a few sweeps with him, then naturally everyone has to come up and support. And when they do that, you got to think Bobby Bowden's got to pass home.
Bob Davie, the defensive coordinator for the Aggies, said they're wise to it. They know that Jackson was a high school quarterback. They're looking out for the option today. Second down and 10. Pump fake by Weldon. Now coming to the other side. And Teichelman wraps him up again near the line of scrimmage.
You notice, look at this zone. This is like a little V. Notice this, everybody down. This is fire. He's actually going to come down and come across. But Casey coming out trying to hit to the outside. No one there. Dodges support. There's outside. There's the inside. Scrambling, waiting. No one open. Good coverage.
Good drawing. You're getting better at that.
No, it wasn't good drawing. I got the wrong guy in the flat.
Should have told me. Third down and 9. And Weldon going to get picked. Oh, interception by Chris Crones. He may take it. Touchdown, Texas A&M on the run back. One official is waving back at the 26-yard line, trying to get everyone's attention. They're going to say he was out of bounds back at the 26. So, Weldon intercepted for the second time in the opening half. This one you could see it coming, Terry.
Yeah, it's, Casey sets up his feet slip. He went inside. His man was covered, went to the outside. As you can see by the way the ball fluttered, the ball slipped out of his hand. Tried to go down the middle. Crooms sitting there waiting for it. Caught a ball that just absolutely slipped out of his hand. Notice his left foot. Look at Crooms' left foot.
No question about it. Good call. Each team now with 3 turnovers, and A&M within striking distance, leading Hill too much out of the backfield. Weldon was downfield after the interception trying to make a tackle. Watch him, Terry.
This is good. I like this. Now, as he gets older, you don't want to do this. Go ahead and let him score. But that's a good effort. Worst hit I ever had in my life. I got chewed out for not running down a guy that intercepted one of my passes by Coach Knoll. So I threw another one, to prove a point. And then I realized I better get after this guy. I got down there, got blindsided like you wouldn't believe. Forget it. Let him score.
Second down and 10. Two-step drop. Firing it to Mitchell. Terrell Buckley runs him back.
Good throw. Now, a lot of scouts have talked about Bucky Richardson. They say he's a fourth rounder, maybe, a fifth rounder in the NFL draft, and some maybe question his arm. But I've watched him warm up, and I just saw a pass in the flat there, and that was a bullet. And you have to understand, this young man has developed his passing. People need to understand the last 5 games of this season alone, he averaged over 200 yards passing per game. So that's pretty good stuff.
Third down and 7. Richardson 3 out of 11 throwing. Looking all the way toward the end zone, and he is intercepted by Buckley.
Smart.
Terrell Buckley averaging 1 interception a game. He's amazing, isn't he, Terry?
Well, I'm going to tell you what Buckley did. Buckley had a man-for-man out on the sideline, and he stayed with his man, but he was peeking inside at Richardson. And then when Richardson thought he had that guy covered, he went to the corner. Buckley pulled off with great speed, made the interception.
7 turnovers in the first half, 4 by A&M. Buckley had 12 picks in the regular season. And now adding here in the postseason classic.
Another opportunity. A&M just really, you can't let this happen against a great football team. That's what these Seminoles are.
On the touchback from the 20. Don Jackson racing out to the 25. We talked to Terrell Buckley about that remarkable interception number for the year. Here's what he said.
We correct our mistakes. And a lot of people just say, well, he's not going to correct the mistakes. He's cocky, conceited, doesn't work hard. And they try the same thing. And they fail.
They failed this time as Buckley read it all the way and intercepts in the end zone. Second down, 5, Florida State. Rain coming down a little harder now. And McCorvey, he loses the football. And was the Aggie defender inbounds? No, his feet were out. That was Patrick Bates sliding for the recovery, but it'll remain Florida State football. Part of his body was out of bounds. Kes McCorvey.
There's the ball knocked loose. Okay, now you're going to see no possession, ball out of bounds.
They return the football to the spot of the fumble, the 37, Terry.
You know what I do, Jim? I loved it when it rained because I knew my guys knew where we were going. And if you're playing man for man, you've got to just freeze and react a little bit later. If you're playing in zones, you have to freeze and react a little bit later. And that gives the passing offense the advantage. The advantage today, right now in this bad weather, should be with this Florida State offense.
And breaking away from Wheeler. Jackson high-stepping it to the outside. And tackled at the 45 of A&M. 18 yards on that carry for Jackson. He now has 11 rushes for 67 yards. Dark skies in Dallas.
Now you look at Jackson, he's in for Amp Lee, but if you turn it around and look on the other side, Greg Hill, he actually was beaten out by Rodney Thomas. Thomas got hurt. Hill got the chance against LSU, rushed for 200 yards, never gave the job up. Or maybe you're seeing that today with Sean Jackson. His chance to perform, and he's doing an outstanding job.
Tiger McMillan has come in on this play, a tailback. First and 10, they fake the McMillan. Slipping for a moment, Weldon throws. Incomplete. It's Shannon Baker on the near side.
A lot of room to cover, isn't it? Jim, wide side in college football. I have forgotten that there's a wide side in pro football. The hashers are in the middle, and it's equal right and left. But in college, if you throw a sideline from the short hash mark and throw it all the way across, it's about
40-yard pass.
40
You got to have a gun to get it over there. There's never a problem for you.
God bless you, Jim. I needed that.
Second down, 10. Wanted to go screen right, and look out.
Oh, great job.
Marcus Buckley.
Great job by Atkinson. Everyone will give Buckley the credit, number 9. But I want you to watch this man as he pursues and gets in and follows the screen. This forces Weldon to come off the screen, allowing Buckley to come inside and make the sack. Watch this. Watch 43, Atkinson. Picks it up now. Look at him. Picks it up. He runs with it. Now, look at Weldon. He says, hey, man, I'm dead. Too late. Buckley gets it.
Well, Terrell Buckley on the other side with the interception to give Florida State possession, and then Marcus Buckley backs him up 15. So it's 3rd and 25. Counter.
Tiger
McMillan. And they swing him down short of the first. He got about 10 of it back.
When you have two great programs and you recruit on a national scale, well, you said earlier A&M primarily in the state of Texas, but Florida State all over the country, you take one back out and you say, well, this might hurt them. But here comes McMillan, 33, in he comes, and then you see, the results of winning, being in the top 5, the top 10, the last 5 or 6 years. Bobby Bowden can recruit nationally now because kids want to come knowing they have an opportunity to play for a national championship.
Said McMillan with 10 yards on the run. He actually got 15 of it back, but it's 4th and 10. And Florida State taking a delay penalty by design to back him up, give Scott Player a little more room. Near the conclusion of today's game, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school.
In the 290 hours I spent in getting ready for this game, I didn't realize there wasn't a 2-minute in college.
2-minute warning?
Yeah.
No.
Thank goodness you guys told me this morning.
1 minute to go in the first half. A&M with no one deep. They were looking for a block, and boy, it's going to back them up and maybe cost them here right before the half.
Well, Jim, I don't know about that. He picked the football up instead of downing it and ran into the end zone. That ball.
Well, they're going to spot it at the 1s. Steve Gilmer and Lonnie Johnson were down there.
I can't. Who picks this thing up?
I think it's Lonnie Johnson.
All right, he comes. All right, then he in the line.
Well, I guess we're going to say that he touched it first at the 1. But now remember, Florida State has all 3 timeouts remaining before the half, so defensively they can make a stand here.
So you can run into the end zone like this, and they give you the ball back where it stops. Is that how this works?
It's the point where he first touched it. $50 seconds to go, and quarterback keeper for Richardson. And there's the quick call for the timeout by Florida State. Let's check in with Jim Gray in these wet conditions. Jim?
All right, Jim, thank you. Right now, the field is not too slick, but it is raining pretty hard right now. Terry was talking just a few moments ago how Florida State might have the advantage here in the rain. Well, they also have the experience. This will be the 3rd time that they have played in the rain. Louisville and LSU, the other 2. Texas Tech on the other side. This is the first game where they've had any wetness, Texas A&M, where they've any wetness at all. So while I get a little drier, let's go back upstairs.
Well, in that game against LSU, it was a game played in Baton Rouge, and Florida State had a real scare. Ranked number 1 at that time, trailing most of the way, and that's the game where Casey Weldon got banged up, and 3 other starters. Weldon missing the next start, but they prevailed in the end, 27-16. Bobby Bowden has put his team on the artificial surface this year. One of the game on the turf was that rain game at Louisville.
Hard to put a spear in this stuff, isn't it? You know, going
When
back
they
to
run
that,
out at the start of the game.
Yeah, on it, that punt. When they touch it in college football, if the ball is on the ground and you touch it, then it's down where you touch it. Even if you pick it up and carry it in. So for those of you that were as confused as I was, there's the answer.
2 timeouts left for the Noles. 2nd and 9, A&M. Doug Carter gives him some room out to the 8. Doug Carter has been playing with a nagging ankle sprain all season, but ran hard on that one, breaking a couple of tackles. Again, a timeout burned by Bowden. 34 seconds to go in the half. Now, Saturday afternoon, the Falcons and the Redskins. Vern Lundquist and Dan Fouts will call it for you. The NFL Today. Barry and Greg and Leslie and Pat O'Brien. Then on Sunday, our crew switches over to the Cowboys and Lions. Pat Summerall and John Madden on hand. How will Barry Sanders perform in the playoffs? Who's that guy on the left, anyway?
Yeah, it looks pretty good, doesn't it?
You're looking off camera.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Ought to be interesting this weekend. That Falcon-Redskins rematch has certainly got captured my attention, and I'm interested to see how Deion Sanders and McKyer go up against the posse, and how well, whether or not they come back and throw for 6 touchdown passes, which I believe Rippon did the last time these two teams met. Then you run over to Detroit, and you got to look at 2 great running backs, Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. Great weekend of NFL on CBS.
3rd and 3. Greg Hill stacked for a 2-yard loss. Hit first by Joe Ostazuski. One of the Ostazuski twins making the play. And there's the final timeout, forcing the Aggies on 4th down to punt out of the end zone.
A final score from the people.
This is the 4th trip to Dallas in the last 7 seasons for Texas A&M. Jackie Sherrill had brought them here for the 86, 87, and 88 classics. Last performing here with a big win over Lou Holtz, Tim Brown, the Heisman Trophy winner, 35-10 in the 88 game. But since that time, 4 titles in the conference, 4 trips to Dallas.
Big game. As we heard earlier from Bucky Richardson, this game means more to Texas A&M than it does to Florida State, because Texas A&M wants to gain national recognition as a powerhouse, and also R.C. Slocum said this will enhance our recruiting.
The beginning drive, David Davis in front formation. Buckley is the deep man for the Seminoles.
A&M had the football for only 24 seconds with the 3 timeouts used by Florida State. No one back deep for the Seminoles. They're coming in looking for the block. Now at the last minute, Terrell Buckley comes onto the field from the sideline. So they do have a deep man.
Here's your rush. All-out rush, Jim.
Buckley, momentum takes him out of bounds near the 40. What was the logic behind that, showing up at the last minute as a return?
Well, I think what he wanted to do was just convince him no one was back there, so it would ease his mind a little bit. But, you know, if you notice that ball was kicked to the left, you'll never see a right-footed kicker in bad weather ever attempt to kick the ball down the middle or to the right for fear of shanking it and knocking it out of bounds. He will always attempt to go to his left there. If he shanks it, then it goes down the middle of the football field.
18 seconds to go. Florida State without any timeouts.
Probably looking to get in a position for a field goal.
Looking for the sidelines, and that's no gain at all for Weldon.
Well, there goes that theory. I don't think.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I believe you could tell me about as well as I could tell you. It seems strange that you would call all the timeouts to get the ball back and then take the quarterback and sprint him out of bounds, unless there was obviously a mistake. I mean, that's the best way I can figure. Let's see what happens there.
It only used 4 seconds. That's the good news. 14 seconds to go in a half. Across the middle, and intercepted by Bates. Tip first off the fingertips of Lonnie Johnson, and Patrick Bates has another interception for the Aggies.
That's out of bounds. And the Aggies will have first down 10.
3 times Weldon has thrown an interception here in the first half. 4 turnovers for Florida State, 4 for A&M. The game is sloppy as the weather.
They're turning it over by the nature of their offenses. A&M 3 fumbles by just fumbling the football. Florida State by passing, 3 interceptions. Notice over the middle, Weldon sees his man, but number 92, Eric England, gets his big paw up and knocks it down right in the hands of Patrick Bates.
Actually ricocheted off the fingertips of England and then Johnson and into the hands of Bates. And a running play to close out the half to Doug Carter. 1 score for each team. Coriat landing Weldon in the end zone for a safety for the Aggies, 2. And then Casey Weldon on the keeper from 4 yards out for the Seminoles score. So the halftime score, Florida State 7, Texas A&M 2. CBS Sports coverage of the mobile.
Good luck in the second half.
You remember R.C. Slocum's team won the coin toss and elected to defer until the second half. The Aggies will have the football to begin the third quarter, and A&M will have the wind at its back in the final quarter. Bobby Bowden in his last 9 bowl games, 8 wins and 1 tie. He has not lost since the 1980 Orange Bowl. Wimberly waiting to kick. John Wimberly with Simmons and Biggins back for A&M. And another note of interest coming out now at halftime. Casey Weldon's 3 interceptions. It's the first time in his career he has thrown 3 interceptions in a game. The Aggies will have the football first in the second half. Wimberly puts the toe to it. Simmons from the 1. Got the wedge in front. He fumbled the football. And it looks like Florida State has it. We now have as many turnovers in this game as we do points. 9 turnovers in the game.
Not exactly what R.C. Slocum was looking for in the second half. Not a vicious hit. But once again, it appears that the ball, and I don't know why, but the ball is so slippery, the least little bit of contact, and the ball comes popping out.
Reggie Freeman on the recovery for Florida State from the 30 of A&M. Inside, Edgar Bennett. Met head-on by Atkinson. Drives him back. Will give him forward progress for 2. Jason Atkinson, a sophomore and the top tackler for the Aggies. He went to Westfield High School in the Houston area. His high school coach, Emory Ballard, who back in the 70s was the Texas A&M head coach and the man responsible for bringing R.C. Slocum on the staff for the first time at A&M. So Emory Ballard in the high school ranks now sending Atkinson to the Aggies. Here's 2nd and 8. Weldon with great time and fires it to Baker at the 14. It's a 13-yard gain and a good pass by Weldon.
Well, you heard me say in the first half that it was important, I thought, for Florida State to stay with their passing. You know, one of the reasons very simply is that's what they do best, is throw the football. That time, Weldon had plenty of time. A&M sent no backers after him, no blitzes. Plenty of time, let his man get open, and he gunned the football to him.
First down, first minute of the third quarter. Rolling left. Baker is the man on that side. Pump fake to Baker. Now they throw it his way. He jumps up and incomplete. Derek Frazier on the coverage.
Second down 10 from the 15.
All you need is 1 foot in college football, and it appears that his left foot, actually it appears his left foot was maybe 2 feet inside. That looked like a good catch. Looked like it should have been a touchdown.
The only thing I can say, and you can't tell by that angle, is he may not have had full possession of it. Looked like he was struggling to hold on to it.
Well, we know his left foot's going to be in bounds, so let's see if we can see if he has possession.
See, right in there, the ball is...
It appears the ground, if he did fumble it, Jim, it appeared the ground knocked it out.
Second and 10. And Jackson gets to the right side. Jackson slashes back to the 2-yard line. And a flag down back in the offensive backfield.
John Jackson on the carry. A flag is down near the 18-yard line. Holding will be from the snap.
Well, if you don't fumble it, you throw an interception. And now it's... Now it appears that if you're going to hold on to it, now you're going to start having penalties. I mean, to say this has been a sloppy game is a major understatement, but an excellent run, well-blocked play, but holding call.
It's the 8th penalty against Florida State in this game. Second down at 22 from the 27. Slot formation to the left. Short drop, Weldon. Ball is almost picked off by Bates. That ball was deflected.
Deflected at the line of scrimmage. You know, defensive linemen are taught, Jim, if you're beat on a pass rush, when you feel like you're beaten, get your hands up, and if the ball comes, maybe you'll knock it down. I think that time that's exactly what happened. Weldon sets up a short set. Now look, there's the drop. There's 97 Wheeler. Gets his old big paw up and knocks it down.
Third and 22. He hands it off to Jackson. Atkinson, Coriat, and Marlon Haynes all helped trip him up. Got the football right into the middle of the field, where the Seminoles will attempt the field goal. Dan Mowry is the kicker coming onto the field. You have to be wise to the trickery of Bowden in this situation. Remember, out of the field goal formation, they threw a touchdown on a shuffle pass against Michigan.
Wins at his back. I think he'll kick this one.
42 yards, and this one just wide. So Florida State gets the early turnover from the Aggies, but they fail to score off of it.
And we have an official timeout.
Choice. 4 Escorts, 1 price. And all equipped with air conditioning,
AM/FM stereo radio, power steering, rear defroster, power mirrors, and more. Have you ever wished buying a car could be this easy? Have you driven a Ford lately? A recent Department of Energy study reveals that most American homes are under-insulated. And that means you. To find out what's right for your home, call Owens Corning at 1-800-GET-PINK.
89% of business travelers don't have a fat expense account. Luckily, you'll find our rates as comfortable as our rooms. Holiday Inn. Stay with someone you know who really knows you.
Bobby Bowden, always with a few tricks in the game plan. We've seen an end around already in this game, Terry, but nothing of major proportions in terms of gadgetry.
But when you play against Bobby Bowden, one of the extra dimensions of scouting him and getting ready is getting your team ready for gadgets.
First down, A&M from the 25. Greg Hill past the first wave and out to the 35, a 10-yard sprint.
And out to number 27, Greg Hill.
Here's a guy who rushed for over 1,200 yards on the season. The first Aggie, the first ever in the Southwest Conference to rush for over 1,000 yards as a freshman. Easily the newcomer of the year offensively in the Southwest. Now with 10 carries for 72 yards, he has had the ball slip through his fingers 3 times. And Doug Carter picks up the yard for the first.
Handoff went to 32, Doug Carter.
He had a chance to visit with Greg Hill. He said it was as satisfying for him this year, gaining his 1,200 yards as a freshman. He can only imagine as satisfying as what Barry Sanders must have felt his Heisman Trophy winning year.
He's a, when you talk to him, he had the hat. It's GHT, Greg Hill time. Confident kid and loves what he's doing, loves where he is.
Broke Earl Campbell's freshman mark in the conference. Here he is again. On the first down pitch, runs out of room on the short side of the field for about 3.
If we continue to see this kind of play, Jim, where the defenses, maybe they give a 5-yarder, but then they come back and stop everything, it might come down to a gadget. We might see a gadget later on in this game that actually is going to win this football game. I wouldn't be surprised considering how sloppily it's been played so far.
2nd and 7. Now we're out of a split backfield. Richardson. Ball deflected across the middle. And I believe it touched an offensive lineman first. And that'll go against the Aggies.
Flag down near the 35-yard line after the incomplete pass.
Illegal touching on the offense. 5-yard penalty, loss of down, 3rd down.
Our officiating crew today from the Western Athletic Conference, WAC officials. So it'll be third and 12 for A&M.
This is the position, and we talked earlier to Mickey Andrews, this is exactly where he felt if he could keep the Aggies in a 3rd down situation in a long yardage, 2nd and long, 3rd, if he can keep them in a 3rd and long yardage situation, he feels like they then are playing into his hands because he does not have that much respect for the Aggies and their ability to throw the football.
Well, it's a team, a defense that has faced the likes of Ty Detmer, Elvis Gerback, Will Furr, the outstanding quarterback from Virginia Tech, Shane Matthews, Gino Toretta. So they've played some good ones. Here on 3rd and 12. Bumping it across the middle. Hill fumbles again for the 4th time, and it's a Florida State recovery.
That was the same play that was called the last time for illegal touching. What A&M is doing is letting the Florida State Seminoles rush the quarterback Richardson. Notice the line way out. Now let him in. Now delay a back over the middle. It's just a delay screen. Hill You'd think after 3 fumbles now, you got to say, when I get my hands on this baby, I'm going to wrap it up, put 2 hands on it, take it home real kind of careful-like. But you can see right there, you mount no drives when you continue to turn the ball over.
Kirk Carruthers put the hit on Hill to knock it loose, and Errol McCorvey on the recovery. 11:17 to go in the third quarter. 7-2 Florida State from the A&M 41. Weldon hit when he threw it. Oh, Sam Adams. Here comes the big freshman. True freshman.
Talk about talent. This was the #1 recruit in the state of Texas. Left in, true freshman Adams. Down inside, number 95. Just straight up inside. I mean, he just got between Baker, the center, and Morris, the right guard, and got right in Casey Weldon's face that time.
Sam Adams Sr., his father, was an offensive lineman for New England and New Orleans. 8 years with New England in all. He was the guard opposite of John Hanna. Now 2nd and 10. And near the first down, it's Sean Jackson. Gain of 7.
Love this college football, Jim. I have always been a huge fan of college football. Being the Cotton Bowl and to see that, you know, if you see that tomahawk on television, you always want to experience it. And the crowd noise, I mean, it's so different than professional football. It's just a real pleasure to be here and experience this.
Timeout called by Weldon at the line.
Got good lungs, doesn't he?
Telling you, didn't even have the mic on and we could hear him up here. 11:05 to go in the third. Seminoles in A&M territory.
When the people of Rehoboth, Delaware decided to clean up the waterfront, you know who they teamed up with? Hefty Cinch Sack. The garbage bags that could handle 1 mile of littered beach. Fill them up and they stay closed up. Open them up and put in more. It was a tough job, and certainly not one for a wimpy bag. Rehoboth Beach, reclaimed by the people, and Hefty Cinch Sack. The bag that makes it a cinch to keep America clean. And your little corner in it.
Ford designed a special truck for night people. So, of course, sports fans wanted one too. Now, Ford introduces its new flare side for yet another side. Don't these people ever rest?
The best ever rest.
With a full-size night, sport, and bold new flare side, Ford takes all kinds in style. More people are driving the best-built, best-selling American trucks than ever before.
Real-life stories about villains, victims, and heroes.
I'm trying to change the lives of people.
Stories closer to home than you think. Ed Bradley hosts Street Stories, Thursday, January 9th.
50 years ago today, Texas A&M took the field against Alabama in the 1942 Cotton Bowl Classic. However, the Aggies' play was anything but classic, allowing 12 turnovers, including having 7 passes intercepted. Alabama scored 29 points in the game, even though the Tide managed only 1 first down and 75 yards of total offense. That was a half-century ago, and the Aggies are halfway there on that turnover total of 12 from 1942. They've committed 6 today. And it's 3rd and 3 for the Seminoles from the 33 of A&M.
Only converted 1 of 7 so far.
Jackson hit near the marker. near the first down yardage, the 31. Patrick Bates and Mark Wheeler combining on the blow.
Hey, you look at this A&M defense, and you're looking at the #1 ranked defense national. I mean, this is the very best unit, and I found it surprising that when we talked to their players and we talked to their defensive coordinator, Bob Davie, and R.C. Slocum, you know, it was almost like they did not want Florida State to know that they were the #1 defense. It was like, it's something we're proud of, but we don't want it to be used against us.
Yeah, they were afraid it was going to work against them, that it would either motivate the Florida State offense to stick it to the wrecking crew, or the Florida State defense would rise and say, wait a minute, we're the better defense. So they've been downplaying that all week.
But you can see today, as I've said often, you see the speed in the secondary and the linebackers, which is outstanding. And then you look on the Florida State side, and I don't see a lot of difference there. Equally very speedy.
They add 8 seconds to the game clock, 10:56 to go in the third. And it's 4th and inches, and again, Florida State will go for it.
You know, if you wanted to run a gadget, Jim Nance, this is the perfect time to do it.
Let's see how prophetic you are. Edgar Bennett straight ahead for the first down.
Well, they didn't fumble, so that's about as good as a gadget.
That's right. You can almost count that as a gadget play today. They're the odd plays out. Is the clean play.
You know, if you can't run the football, I'll tell you something about gadgets or fancy plays. They're all set by a team being able to establish the run. If you can't run the football, you can throw every gadget you have out the window because no one respects it. You have to be able to run the football to be able to utilize the gadgets.
Well, they're going to measure again. I've already awarded them the first down. I thought he gained about a full yard. And the football rests right, well, just short of the 30-yard line stripe. Quentin Coriat hit him, but I'm afraid it was too late for the Aggies, for their sake.
Coriat, considered by many a top 10, I guess you would say. There's your first down. Top 10 prospect in the draft coming out.
We saw one guy had him number 2, Terry. Remember that?
Yeah, look at on the left of your screen, over the top comes Coriat, number 44. I always heard if you left your feet, you really weren't a football player. I don't tell him I said that, but that's,
I don't think you want to tell him that at all.
Some of the stuff I've heard.
Bennett picks up the first down. Florida State now operates from the 30. Jackson, and Coriat was the man who grabbed him by the foot. He's a guy who Coach Bob Davie, the defensive coordinator, told us really by the end of the year was starting to play where he really let it go.
Early 44 left center of your screen coming inside. Actually, that's a leg whip, but he didn't mean to do it. But Coriat early in the season was timid, sitting, waiting. And then later on in the season, he finally Davie got him and said, just turn it loose, let it happen. And now he is the primary rush guy for these linebackers of A&M.
Don't be afraid to make a mistake, they told him. And there's another mistake. Buckley trying to chase it down, and it's out of bounds. Florida State football. Mishap on the exchange.
Look at
Weldon to Jackson.
I wonder what Bobby's thinking. We're trying to run the football. We've thrown a lot of interceptions, so we're going to run it. We're not going to throw it a lot. And now we've seen it on the ground twice already. It's a good exchange, just a counter draw. But what happens, actually, that time Jackson ran into Weldon, and then the ball just starts spinning.
Marcus Buckley had a great play on it, but slipping on the wet turf, got away from him. 3rd and 16. Mark Wheeler was in on that exchange also, causing trouble. Of course, the fumble. Atkinson blitzing. Someone picks him up. Now Wheeler chasing after him. And here's the pass that will lose yardage to Edgar Bennett back at the 45. Loss of 9.
You know, you're going to see I want you to just look in this area and just show me anyone that's going to try to help Weldon, the quarterback. Watch this. There comes your blitz inside. Look at, there's no one. Stop it right there. Look at, there is no one over there to help him out, and he's going to his right.
Florida State lost 15 yards on its last 3 plays. And now Player kicks it into the end zone. Bring it out to the 20 for the Aggies with 9:14 remaining in the third quarter.
That will be first down for the Aggies. First and 10 on the 20.
Well, this Saturday, CBS Sports presents live semifinal coverage of the National Football Conference playoffs, the divisional round. The Falcons and the Redskins, 12 noon Saturday with the NFL Today. Terry, you'll be on hand for that. Big Vern and Dan Fouts for the call of that game. And then later that afternoon, Billy Packer and I will be at Champaign, Illinois for UConn and the Illini. College hoops, Saturday on CBS. McAfee with a good piece of running. And look out, official. Put McAfee into the backfield, and Hill, with the troubles he's had today, just holding on.
Well, if you go back to the objective that Arsley Slocum, the head coach of the Aggies, had for this game about establishing a national ranking and a promise for A&M, the turnovers have killed him, and Hill has been the primary guy that's tossed up the football.
Second down, 2. Randy Simmons has the first. Terry, you were telling me Simmons was a player you remember being recruited out of McKinney, Texas, when he came out of high school. Now he's closing his career today.
Yeah, he was, living in the Fort Worth area in Roanoke. Actually, I keep up with this Texas football because, everybody in the world comes in here. And I remember Simmons coming out of high school in Rushford. God, I don't know how many yards, 2,000 yards. He was a fullback, natural fullback. And now he's finishing out his season, his career at A&M. Outstanding career.
First and 10. Here he is, Simmons. That's a nice run.
There you go.
It's a gain of about 11.
McKinney just a little bit over the hill. Actually, you can see McKinney from here, but excellent job that time by Simmons. The Aggies do not have a natural fullback. They actually, all of these kids were tailbacks coming out of high school. That's why a lot of times they'll go 2 tight ends or even motion one of their tight ends and lead him in the hole, because none of these kids are natural fullbacks.
First down and 10. McAfee to the 50. Give him 7 on that carry. Keith Alex, the right tackle, with a nice block. And Simmons also the fullback.
Yeah, when you look at the blocking of the offensive lineman of A&M, Alex 67 right tackle, Ellis Orr is the 57. It's basic man-to-man blocking. Nothing fancy. Just put your helmet on them and drive them off the football. Excellent job by the entire right side of the A&M line.
Second and 3. High formation for the Aggies. And the option with McAfee, and a good read by Buckley. No gain for Texas A&M.
You had 2 blockers that time leading out front, but the problem was there were 3 men supporting. When you have 3-on-2, defense wins. Buckley, not known to be a great tackler, read it, got up, made the stop.
Think he's coming out this year, Terry, in the draft? He's only a junior.
I hear there might, there's always talk of salary cap, and hey, if I've got 12 interceptions, that'd be a hard year to beat. He'll be a first rounder and make himself some major dollars, so I would think he would.
Third and 4.
Blitz.
Now Carruthers comes in on Richardson. He gets away, and McAfee can't handle it. A&M will have to punt. Sterling Palmer and Kirk Carruthers forced Richardson to roll out to the right, flushed him right out.
When you run the option, Jim, one of the worst things about an option offense is that it is not a good offense to run when you're passing and have to pick up blitzes, because the kids just don't understand it. It would be easier for Weldon and his receivers to run a passing offense against blitzes than it would be for the A&M Aggies.
Davis
There's Buckley. He's also the punt returner. He was quoted in one Florida paper this week as saying he's 95% certain he'll turn pro. We talked to him about it. He said he was misquoted. So now from the 6th. Oh, they'll corral him at the 1.
Ken Alexander.
Steve Kinney. Back there for A&M, 45-yard punt, a loss of 4 on the return. Florida State will have possession at the 1 when we come back.
Ford trucks, the best ever ran. Ford trucks.
First compact truck in America was an import, remember? Uh-huh. And then along came Ford Ranger. Now the best-selling compact pickup 5 years running. Ranger offers 4-liter power, push-button 4-wheel drive. Technology the imports can't match.
Mm-hmm.
So who sent who back to the drawing board this time?
More people are driving the best-built, best-selling American trucks than ever before.
We exercise, we eat right, we even quit smoking. So, hopefully we're going to live longer. Maybe a lot longer. Then one day it hit us. Have we saved enough to live to be 80 or 90 or maybe even 100 years old?
Big East battles Big Ten when the 5th-ranked power of the Connecticut Huskies takes on the Fighting Illini of Illinois, Saturday on CBS Sports.
Great. Welcome back to the Cotton Bowl. Joining me is the chairman of the board of the Mobil Oil Corporation, Alan Murray. Mr. Murray, you're in the 4th year of a 7-year agreement with the Cotton Bowl. You've got to be very pleased.
Oh, we are. This is college football at its best. With the spirit, the enthusiasm, 2 great defensive teams, a wonderful day.
You live down here in Dallas?
No, we're in New York, but we have a lot of people down here in Dallas. About 4,000 employees in Dallas.
Terrific game. Thanks for being with us. Jim Nance?
Okay, from the 1, Florida State is ready to go. Leading 7-2 with 6 minutes and change to go in the 3rd. You smell trouble here, Terry.
Yeah, this makes me nervous. You got a bad field, a wet ball, a lot of turnovers. Everyone gets a little tight right now.
Whoa. That is not a safety. They give Bennett the progress to the 1, and there is a flag on the field. Antonio Shorter, freshman from Houston, came up to make the play on Edgar Bennett.
Dead ball, illegal procedure on the offense. Repeat first down.
Now you move it back half the distance. And I repeat my statement earlier. As a player, the one place I never wanted to be was in this is a hostile territory and environment. They only have 6,000 Florida State Seminole fans here. Ball on the 1 yard, a lot of fumbles, wet.
Shannon Baker at the 7. And pounded to the ground right away by Derek Frazier.
Look at this. This is right. Look at behind. Right at 3 feet in the end zone. Fired out. Pray to goodness you don't have it 1 foot behind the receiver. If you do, Frazier picks it off and walks in for an easy touchdown.
Second down and 5. Slashing back to the middle, picking up the first, and galloping to the 18-yard line. A run of 11.
in the eye back. Notice the toss. Jackson looking right, sees the linebacker sitting there waiting on him. Coriat says, whoops, the flow goes too wide. A great back always cuts against the flow. That's what he did. That's how he got the first down.
76 yards rushing now for Sean Jackson. Only a sophomore from New Orleans. First down for the Seminoles. Play is ruled dead right away.
Dead ball. Illegal procedure on the offense.
In a wild one, East Carolina finishes a Cinderella season for them, beating North Carolina State. And that surprises me right there. Cal over Clemson. Clemson usually a good bowl team.
Good. When you think of Clemson Tigers, Clemson knows I'm from the South. I put a P in it. Clemson. But you always think of great defense.
First and 15. Weldon to the right side, short of Shannon Baker.
He's having trouble. I watched Casey all the way that time. He's having a hard time. There must be a wind. You know, we were down there earlier. Jim, this wind looks like it's at your back, but it moves from right to left. He's throwing out in that area, and it looks like if you don't snap the ball off in a strong wind or in tight conditions like this, if you don't have a tight spiral, wind gets it and takes it right into the turf.
Only 68 yards throwing with the career-high 3 interceptions against the Wrecking Crew. Second and 15. Jackson hesitated, waiting for the blocking to unfold for him, but nothing developed. Otis Neely bumps him out.
Back in the backfield. Now look. Everyone's staying to the inside. Notice this. Trying to get wide, but there's Neely, 56. Weak side linebacker. You'll always see Neely lined up opposite the tight end. Quickness, speed, those are the things that both of these teams represent.
Third and 14. Florida State only 1 of 9 on third down. And they won't get this one either. Sean Jackson wrapped up for a loss back near the 10.
The ultimate compliment. I respect you so much that I'll take my strength and I will go and run the football. I will not throw. The ultimate compliment. Florida State, normally a passing team, would never hesitate to throw in this situation. But out of respect for the Aggies, they run it.
Player from the end zone. Letting it fly actually from the goal line. Here's Smith near the 50. And he too loses yardage on the return. 41-yard punt, a loss of a yard on the run back. Reggie Freeman makes the tackle. He already has a recovery in this game. Florida State in the final rankings the last 5 years, Terry, take a look. Second, third, fourth, fifth. They're fifth coming into this game, and really if you wanted to work it out, they could finish as high as second by the end of today. Aggies the Hill back in the game and just back to the line of scrimmage.
You know, going back to that Florida State, you know, when we talked to them this week, we sensed that the Miami game absolutely took their heart out of them. And they had the week off, and then I even told you, I said, Jim, you know, there's no way they were going to win that Florida game. Sure enough, Bobby Bowden, he admitted that himself. We knew it would be very hard for us to get there. And this game, I think they've tried to talk them into getting ready for it emotionally. I think it's a real struggle ever since they lost to Miami.
Second and 11. Hill, one-on-one tackle by Mr. Marvin Jones, who has been quiet in this game. He did not start again because of a curfew problem earlier this week, but he is the first freshman or sophomore.
Youngest.
Yep, youngest ever to make it as a finalist for the Lombardi Award. His brother Fred was a top linebacker for Florida State back in the 80s. Fred now a policeman down in Miami. But Marvin Jones making the play on that one. 3rd and 9 for the Aggies from midfield. Richardson, this one not anywhere near the target. Tony Harrison.
Richardson's pass intended.
McCorvey was with him. One-on-one coverage.
Tony Harrison incomplete.
Third time today we've seen that sprint out. It's the same route. A guy out in the flat about 10 yards, then you take the slot guy, take him behind him and go to the corner. And what's happening is they're running so close to the sideline, there's no room for Bucky to get the ball in there. He can't drop it in, so he just throws it out of bounds.
Deep to receive.
Davis. Buckley won't try for this one, and it rolls into the end zone. 2:20 remaining in the third quarter. Florida State will bring it out to the 20. The Aggie students who stand throughout the game. The 12th man tradition at Texas A&M.
You know, I have a nephew, Chris Bradshaw, that looked around and searched for a lot of schools, smart kid. And he's now a sophomore at Texas A&M, and having him help tried to recruit Bucky Richardson to go to Louisiana Tech. There's another connection. And then trying to transfer from Louisiana Tech to Florida State. And my sophomore year, there's my Florida State connection.
You got all the bases.
Yeah,
covered,
I got it covered.
Yep. FSU from the 20. Play action for Weldon. Man is open. It's Baker just past the 30. He got the foot down. And a first down for the Seminoles.
You know, if you look at that pass, and if you just put your cameras on Casey Weldon, and you watch his technique that time, then you see the comparisons with Montana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ball, his back foot hit, boom, the ball's out to the sideline. Look at it. One sets up, good mechanics, ball on time, a perfect throw. When he's balanced and when things are right, you can see the resemblance. He looks like him in the helmet. He looks exactly like Montana.
Tiger McMillan is the tailback in for Jackson. And here's McMillan. Sam Tiger McMillan trying to get outside, and Thrones got him along with Atkinson.
Yeah, see, this is good defense, Jim, because if you stretch out speed in a bad field, a wet field, speed can't cut back and hurt you. But if you try to stretch out power, power can turn up and get some yardage on you.
Give him a yard on that play. An overcast day in Dallas.
I met Bobby Bowden the other day. It was like a guy meeting his hero. We sat down and got to talking football, and I mean, it was just great to meet someone you'd heard so much about it that's so genuine and so real and so open.
2nd and 9, and Weldon's pass out of reach for Warren Hart, the backup tight end.
That's just great coverage. Marlon Haynes, the backup free safety, strong safety actually, he took one guy and the linebacker took the other, and there really was no choice then for Weldon. He just had to throw it away.
Terry, we saw that shot a moment ago of the Ferris wheel in the background, the Texas State Fairgrounds. You actually came here to the Texas State Fair this year and walked away with a few gifts, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to wait till you hear this story. This is a dandy.
3rd and 9.
Blitz, here it comes.
Weldon tries to beat it, lofting it incomplete.
Oh, that's not Weldon's fault. That time, number 88 gave up on the route.
McCorvey was the man. Kez McCorvey.
I came here to this state fair and brought my little girls, Rachel and Aaron, and I wanted to win them a teddy bear, but I didn't know how to do it, so I went to the football throw and found out that I put down about $5 and got about 20 throws and didn't win anything. And I got mad and put down $5 more, and I tore that thing up, and I got myself like 30 bears. You got to get a little one, then a medium, and then a big one, and I had to get garbage sacks to take them all home. It was great. Kids loved me.
Fair catch. And a shaky one at that for Kevin Smith. So you were 0 for 20, and then you really got on fire.
That was embarrassed. You know what was even better than that? I got this huge crowd of people around me, but this guy I'm feeding all this money to, he doesn't understand. He just thinks they're there.
He doesn't recognize you?
No, he doesn't recognize me and all these people. He thinks they're waiting in line to give him money to try to win some of these bears. I could have stayed there, I swear to you, Jim, and wiped this guy clean. I just couldn't get him home.
The Bears.
The bear.
Took a few of them home that day.
I mean, it was great.
Look at the play action now. Richardson trying to cross him up first down, but will not have a chance to release it. Dan Footman was in the area. He was quite a player, this Dan Footman. Had a serious knee operation he's coming back from, Terry.
Yeah, a young guy that in training camp they couldn't practice him but once. And he would miss out one morning on the running game, so he would practice one day on the running game, skip the passing game that afternoon, the rushing techniques he would learn. The next day he would skip the running, and then he would do the passing, so he could get, you know, kind of get a full season in like that. But they didn't expect him back. He's back, and now they're wanting when the season's over with his rest, and he'll be able to get back, you know, as close to 100% as possible.
2nd and 16. Richardson completes it at the 45 to Harrison.
I love that route. The greatest route in all of football is an in route. It's simple. There's nothing to it. You're going to see Harrison, top of your screen. Watch this. Just come down. Look at this. It's that simple. Take this guy and do something with him. I don't know what you're going to do with him, but do it with him and just come across the middle. Hope I got the right guy. Yes. Yes.
This time.
But isn't that great route? It runs. What it does, it runs through zones and away from man coverage, and it's just a beautiful route. My favorite route of my whole career was the deep end.
1st and 10, approaching a minute to go in the 3rd. Hill gets tangled up with his own teammate, Carter, and held on to the football this time. Derek Brooks wrestled him down after a loss of 4.
Doug Carter tried to help him out, but he got knocked back into Hill. It looked like a good play was going to be established to the outside, but Hill was knocked back into it. The Cotton Bowl. Can you imagine being 12 years old and wanting to come here? I would end up being over there in the end zone somewhere on a bus, like a 4-hour drive, but I would have seen my hero Roger play for Navy. That would have been great.
2nd and 14. Pump fake. Got him. He's got Harrison out there, but coming over to make the play is
Levon Brown.
Levon Brown with the INT. Chalk up another turnover. That's 7 now against A&M.
Now, you know, of course, I take the side of the quarterback. This ball should have been laid out a little more. But watch it again and watch how the receiver, even though he saw he could not catch this ball, just go inside and prevent the interception. Look, he stands there, he waits on it. He knows the safety, Levon Brown's coming over. Just get in front of him, make sure the ball is not intercepted.
Levon Brown from Moorhaven, Florida with the interception.
Hey, you know what else is at stake here today, Jim? Recruiting pride. Texas folks claim that Texas has better athletes, and Florida claims that Florida has better athletes.
Well, Florida State has 3 Texas kids on the roster. The Aggies really all homegrown Texans. 1st and 10, 30 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. Now, hard-earned run of 6 for Edgar Bennett.
Take a look at 44. Left of your screen. 44 coming inside. Corey, look, stands up Baker, the center. Throws him down. Comes back after some more.
Terry, that's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score. Florida State 7 and Texas A&M 2. CBS Sports coverage of the 56th Annual Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic continues after this message and a word from your local station.
When the people of Rehoboth, Delaware decided to clean up the waterfront, you know who they teamed up with? Hefty Cinch Sack. The garbage bags that could handle 1 mile of littered beach. Fill them up and they stay closed up. Open them up and put in more. It was a tough job, and certainly not one for a wimpy bag. Rehoboth Beach, reclaimed by the people, and Hefty Cinch Sack. The bag that makes it a cinch to keep America clean. And your little corner in it.
Ford Taurus, the pattern other car companies have drawn on for inspiration. Well, this year, we've given them even more inspiration. With a more aerodynamic design, a more intelligent interior, exclusive Ford Motor Company offer in this class. Once again, we've sent the competition back to the drawing board. Have you noticed a pattern developing here? Have you driven a Ford lately?
This is CBS.
It's the last week of wintertime at your Chevy Geo dealers, where you can still get cash back or low financing on Chevy cars, trucks, and Geos.
Attention all active duty military personnel or spouses. Receive up to $800 in down payment assistance. We will give you $300 plus match $1 for $1, your down payment up to $500. But hurry, this offer absolutely ends January 5th.
Hey, with wintertime deals like these, anybody can still be a winner. See your Jacksonville Big Six Chevrolet Geo dealers today.
Just one look, and I knew that you were the only one.
If you want to save time and money, all it takes is just one look in the real Yellow Pages.
Just one look. That's all it took. Just one look.
Fortune magazine called it one of the best cars in the world. Road and Track said it was a remarkable engineering achievement. And Car and Driver said of the Lexus LS400 in its first time at bat in the major leagues, Lexus has slammed one out of the park. Guess where the ball landed?
At Denny Sullivan Lexus.
From our home to yours. Happy New Year.
CBS Sports coverage of the 56th Mobile Cotton Bowl Classic is sponsored by Mobile and new advanced formula Mobile One. Today's Duracell, the copper top battery. And by Magnavox, smart choices for smart people, the ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart.
Jim Nance, along with Terry Bradshaw and Jim Gray and Andrea Joyce, welcoming you back to the final quarter of the Cotton Bowl. What a great week it's been for us to be back with our college football crew after a one-year hiatus. The many talented technicians and production people who have such a great affinity for college football, headed by Mike Burks and Joe Assetti. We start the final quarter, 2nd and 5, Florida State from the 30. And through the fingertips of Sean Jackson.
Donald's pass intended for 35. Sean Jackson incomplete.
And let's check in right now with our sideline man, Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, Jim, during the intermission for the end of the quarter there, the Florida State team gathered the offense over on the sidelines, and kind of sarcastically and facetiously, the Florida State coaches told them, hey, guys, our first goal now is just to hold on to the football. If we score, that's a bonus.
Jim, how about that as a goal? 3rd and 5. Good time for Weldon. Really looking long for Baker. Incomplete. Wow.
Thought he had it.
Yep. Marvin Haynes back there along with Kevin Smith defending.
To question the arm strength of Weldon, that ball covered 55 yards in the air. I don't think that's a problem.
Should this ball have been caught, Terry? They've had several passes this year that have...
That ball was right there, but coming on the outside is Errol Corby. Corby, number 26, and he stripped the hands down and knocked it out.
The pressure from the Aggies coming in on player. He gets it away to the 34, where it's downed. 34-yard punt, no return.
The punt is down at the 35-yard.
Again, the lineup on Saturday, CBS has divisional playoff action. The Falcons and the Redskins. The winner advances to the NFC Championship game. It all starts with the NFL today at 12 noon Eastern. Then UConn and Illinois. College hoops from Champaign. UConn ranked number 5 in the country. Let's check out the Huskies this Saturday. Rodney Thomas has come into the backfield, and he gets the carry and is pummeled right away.
Sterling Palmer coming in and putting a pretty good lick on him, and then I don't know what that celebration dance was, but top left of your screen, Sterling coming inside the block, gets inside. If you you don't cut off inside pursuit, you're dead anyway. Now look at this. What is that, Jim? I think I saw you doing that last night, didn't I, at the deal over here?
Yeah, the cotton bowl ball. I had that move out on the dance floor. Here's Bucky throwing on second down and almost picked off. Corey Sawyer stepped in front.
Corey Sawyer and Corey Fuller, number 28, two kids that they say will be as good as or better than Dion and Terrell Buckley, but this is a poorly thrown ball, and, you know, timing routes, man coverage, you just got to get that ball out there a little sooner. Bucky, as you can see what happens to him, once again, Sterling Palmer inside, and Richardson coming into this game has a bad shoulder, his right shoulder. He only takes about a third of the practice time he normally takes on his right throwing arm, and some question his arm strength. He said he's fine.
3rd and 11. Let's call it 12. Aggies still have not converted on 3rd down the whole game.
There he is.
The sack to Simpson.
Carl Simpson, number 95. 11 sacks coming into the game today. Most of these defensive linemen for Florida State, that gives him 12 for the year.
Sacked Gino Torretta 3 times in that Miami game. Most sacks in a season for Florida State since 77, and Ron Simmons. Davis to Buckley from the 35. Hesitation move. And a short run back of 3 yards. Darrell Reed made the tackle. 41-yard punt. There is a flag down back at the line of scrimmage. Holding against Florida State.
Against Florida State, right near the 25-yard line.
Holding on the receiving team, on the kick, the post-fitting kick at Forceman 10 yards from the end of the run.
Looking at Bobby Bowden, you know he's got to be concerned. And I go back to that Miami game once again because I really believe that took the heart out of this football team. I really think they have not forgotten what happened in Tallahassee.
Little Caesars, 2 pizzas, 2 crazy breads, plus 2 servings of Coke Classic, all for $7.98. It's enough food to make a family meal into a party.
When you rent from Hertz on vacation, you get more than free unlimited mileage. You get the company behind the car, so that the miles aren't just free, they're worry-free. All over America, Hertz treats you right with dependable service at low rates you'll like. Now, with all those free miles ahead of you, wouldn't you feel better with Hertz behind you?
Hertz, we're America's wheel.
This is not what you want in a shave. Now, you've got the edge. This is the shave with 6 rich lubricants. This is the shave that reduces irritation. This is the shave. For less irritation, you've got the edge. Edge, proud sponsor of the NBA Most Valuable Player Award.
No matter what you've been doing for the last 48 hours, hope you'll tune in CBS and Davis Rules.
Start your new year right with Davis Rules.
Them guys are good.
Premiering tonight.
Anytime you lose a national championship, you should never be satisfied. We're glad we have an opportunity to play here in the Cotton Bowl to prove to a lot of people that, you know, we still feel we're the #1 team in the nation, but it's still a bitter feeling because we had an opportunity to win a national championship the first time ever at Florida State, and we didn't succeed at that.
Words from Edgar Bennett. He has sent up word through our Jim Gray that this is the best defense he has seen in his college career that he's closing out today. 6 rushes for 8 yards, 2 receptions for minus 16. Weldon fakes, man in his face right away. An interception by A&M. Chris Crows. His second pick of the day. Interception number 4 for Weldon.
Play action. Just a bootleg outside, but it's doggone near a naked bootleg. No one there to help. And Casey just made a poor choice, threw the football out that was deflected, and this was an outstanding interception by Chris Crooms, number 6.
Bucky and the Aggies from the 16, first down. They run the option, late pitch to Thomas, and Fowler has a hold of him. Good play by Leon Fowler.
This offense of Texas A&M, you're seeing it's a 3-version I, the sprint, the counter, and the triple option out of the I. This will be the last time you see this offense at A&M under this quarterback. Bucky Richardson, when he graduates, A&M is going to the I. They'll stay in the I, but they'll feature Jeff Granger, their left-handed quarterback, or their other quarterbacks. They'll start throwing the football and have a balanced offense.
2nd and 12. And here comes some trickery to Austin again. Going to Wilbert Biggins, and Florida State collects the football. Turnover number 13 of the game. Dan Footman on the recovery.
You know, I got to think. You know, I've played in conditions like this. Of course, I wasn't 17 or 18 years old either, but I got to think that sometimes these things happen out of lack of concentration. That's a good toss. Once again, it looks like they just take their eyes off of the football, wondering who is going to tackle them or where they're going to go with it. And in conditions like this, when you have bad weather, you have to concentrate harder than any other time.
Chris Crooms with the interception for the 2nd time that had the Aggies set up to take the lead. But the Crooms interception matched by another Aggie turnover. Jackson switches hands with the football, looking for the stiff arm as he moves across the 30. Cotton Bowl record has been equal, 13 turnovers in a game.
Well, I think R.C. Slocum, if this game ends up as it is right now and he loses, I mean, it never has failed, but you look at those turnovers, and when you have 8, I tell you, if you have 8 turnovers, you just simply don't deserve to win a football game. Now, they might, but most times you just don't win.
Remember the Aggies of 42, 50 years ago. They committed 12 turnovers in the game. And a running play on 2nd and 6.
Oh, great running.
Sam Adams on the tackle of Sean Jackson. And even with the 8 turnovers, Terry, one play, one pick, one crazy play, and you're in front.
Yeah, the score doesn't represent the turnovers, does it? I mean, it's still just 7-2, but gosh, how many times are you going to get the ball inside the 30-yard line with first down and then turn around and give it right back?
I'll tell you what this game reminds me of, a 7-3 game from 9 years ago when SMU played Pittsburgh.
Dan Marino, I believe his senior year.
Against an option wizard by the name of Lance McElhaney. And a timeout called by Weldon. Holded a flag down in the secondary.
Casey trying to beat the clock is what he was doing. Delay the game on the offense.
Yeah, SMU won that game 9 years ago today. 7-3, 38 degrees, light drizzle, same kind of day.
He's looking up. Look at Casey. Look, he's doing his hands. He's calling it audible with his hands. Now he looks up and realizes the 25-second clock has expired. He tries to beat it with a timeout.
2:40 remaining. Third and 7. Edgar Bennett. First time he's been able to break free today. And slashed by Coriat that prevented it from even going deeper down the field.
Quinn Coriat, 44. Keep your eye on. He is the rusher. He is designated rusher. He is a blitzer, but he's primarily rushing to stop the run. Well, he went in the wrong hole. Bennett went to the outside and got the first down. And when you talk about Bennett, scouts say the thing they like about him, he will be ideal in the pros in the one-back set, similar to what the Redskins do, because he's big enough to run it, but he has excellent hands.
First down, Florida State. Sean Jackson blockers in front. Jackson cuts back into A&M territory at the 42. Mancini and Morris. Good blocks.
Take a look at Dixon and Stevenson, the left guard. This is, whoops, clear that baby. This is your left guard here. This is, watch how they pull and get out and lead on the outside. This is excellent job. Not only that, by them, look, there they go. Number 60, that's Mike Morris. To the outside, Bennett seals back. And there's your run. You know, it's funny, but we were talking a while ago when they passed us these MVP things, and you and I were laughing, and this is the kid we came up with.
He's got 97 yards rushing. He's been the offensive star so far. Here he is going for 100, and he's about a yard short of that figure after gaining 2. Eric England on the hit. .9:20 to go. Florida State, a team that, well, Bobby Bowden said losing to Miami was like getting hit over the head with a hammer. And then losing to Florida was like getting hit over the head with a hammer a second time. But you feel the first one, but the second one you don't.
Yeah, it looks like right now he may be looking up at a hammer, but he's got a 7-2 lead, and his team is driving.
2nd and 8. Weldon to Baker. And the tackle by Smith at the 26. Florida State moves the chains again.
Rhythmic. You know, I watched that. That's good stuff. 5-step drop, get set, throws it out there. When it seems like when Casey's had to hold the ball today and look around to his second, third receiver, sometimes it's hard because you underestimate the speed of the secondary, and that costs you. And I think today that has cost him, because some of the passes he's thrown, I'm sure when he looks at this tape, he's just going to close his eyes and shut the projector off and want to go home.
We asked Edgar Bennett what kind of pass does Weldon throw, and he described it as crisp. But it hasn't been crisp today in these cool temperatures. Here's Bennett. About a yard. Mark Wheeler, the nose man for A&M on the tackle.
They've got Mike Morris, who starts at right guard, over at left guard now, and Kevin Mancini at right tackle. Normally now, Florida State would run at Kevin Mancini. He's the guy Bobby Bowden pointed to that has really hurt us the most in our offensive line, and they messed up by making Morris a tackle and kind of messed up 2 positions, but now they've flopped Morris to left guard.
2nd and 10. We're under 8 minutes now to go in the game at Dallas. Slot formation to the right. Sean Jackson to the left with Bennett in front. Coriat shakes off the block and makes the tackle. That puts Jackson over 123 carries for 104 yards.
You know what's kind of interesting? I pointed out Mike Morris to you, moving from right guard to left guard. But now they've taken Reggie Dixon and put him at right guard. You know what I think? I think the coaches upstairs have found something and realized that Morris would be better suited against one of the A&M blockers if they put him on the left side.
They've made the change, and thus they've moved the football.
Now they swapped them back.
Crossing up the Aggies, 3rd down and 3. Here comes the blitz. Weldon releases. The ball is caught, but short of the first. Lonnie Johnson on the reception, and Eric England, along with Teichelman, stayed back to make sure he stayed short of the first. No gain on the play. Crooms was coming in on the blitz.
in a normal backfield situation, notice the back and the tight end delaying. What they're doing is allow these blitz guys to come through because they got that, once again, that old familiar middle screen setup. But against a blitz, a lot of times it just doesn't work.
Here's Jerry Thomas, the young man who missed by inches against Miami. This is a field goal attempt to give him an 8-point lead. 37 yards out. Thomas kick, no good. Thomas on the missed attempt. Mowry missed one earlier. 7-2 with under 7 minutes to go.
We drove an engine 200,000 grueling miles using new Mobil 1. Then we ripped it apart. What did we find? Nothing. Nothing. Virtually no engine wear. What kept these vital engine parts like new? This part. New Advanced Formula Mobil 1. It keeps your engine running like new.
Someone's taken some steps to juice up their batteries. And today's Duracell batteries can even outlast the ones we made just a few years back. You can't top the copper top.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that offers special delivery right to your door. That's Enterprise.
Here, let me help you.
Enterprise, a special rent-a-car company that gives you special delivery.
This is a commercial for this clever little portable CD player from Magnavox, the inventors of CD technology. I'm sorry, actually, this is a commercial for the ingenious Magnavox 13-inch TV with a built-in VCR. I'm sorry, this is really a commercial for this brilliant 52-inch TV with 100-watt Dolby surround sound. I'm sorry, wrong again. This is supposed to be a commercial for this Magnavox 386 notebook computer. Hang on, we haven't finished. Oh, I'm sorry.
The ingenious products from Magnavox. They're smart, very smart.
Bottom right of your screen, a lot of you wonder how in the world this young man could miss a kick. Well, we've re-looked and checked it and looked again, and now we're convinced without a doubt that that number 3 for Texas A&M, Frazier, coming across there, Patrick Frazier, got his hands on this ball just enough to take it out and make it go to the left. Derek Frazier, that is. Once again, on the right side, notice Derek Frazier coming in, leaps out. Now look at the ball, how all of a sudden it starts just kind of woggling like a duck out there.
So number 3, Derek Frazier, takes 3 away from Jerry Thomas and the Seminoles. And a confirmation now from Jim Gray on the sidelines. It was indeed partially blocked. Carter, first down run of the yard. Not surprising that Frazier got a piece of that. He had 2 blocked field goals on the regular season.
Tell you what's happening here now, Jim, because now you're in a kind of a, you know, this is where you got to use the clock and use it wisely. And A&M being the running team that they are, to get back to the case, they've got to pick up some major yardage here and get out of 3rd and long. 3rd and long has not been good to the Aggies nor to the Florida State Seminoles, but if once again Florida State can force the Aggies into 3rd and long, then they're playing into their hands.
2nd down and 9. Fake to Hill. Richardson now with a flag down. It looks like holding against the Aggies. Richardson running it out of bounds past the 25-yard line.
On the feet, goes out of bounds. A flag down back near the 10-yard line.
It's been a tough day for the 2 quarterbacks who finished 2nd and 3rd in the voting for the Davey O'Brien Award, the outstanding quarterback in college football. That honor went to Ty Detmer for the 2nd straight year. Weldon was 2nd in the voting, Richardson 3rd. Ty Detmer closing his career 2 nights ago with a tie.
You know, I go back, and once again, I just go back to the conditions. Harder on Bucky Richardson, I believe, than certainly on Casey Weldon. And the wind down there in that field coming across makes it very difficult. And now, after having a bad first half, the psyche of both quarterbacks is not the best in the world. They've got to be saying to themselves, I don't want to cause another mistake. I don't want to cause another turnover. But you're looking at the Aggies, and with 6 minutes left in this game, and they've got to go about 90-something yards, you know, now you got to take a chance.
Timeout called by A&M with 6 minutes and 1 second remaining. It leaves the Aggies with 2 timeouts. The Seminoles also have 2 timeouts to work with.
Timeout on the field is being charged to A&M.
My dad had ulcers, so when my stomach started acting up, I was afraid to go to the doctor. But the pain wouldn't go away, so I went. Was I relieved when my doctor said Mylanta? He said it was indigestion, not an ulcer, and my kind of indigestion called for strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Acura would like to pose the following question. Could your heart benefit from the use of another 24 valves? The Acura Legend Coupe. Gillette presents Sensor, the system, the technology that will change the way you shave forever. Sensor, twin blades set on springs to read your face and respond. Independent suspension to sense and adjust to every curve of your face. No other razor comes close. Gillette Sensor, for the best shave a man can get.
Saturday, the fired-up Falcons battle the force of the Redskins. Sunday, Emmitt Smith ignites the Cowboys against Barry Sanders and the Lions. The playoff battles explode on CBS.
Welcome back to the Cotton Bowl. I'm here with the Executive Vice President of the Mobile Cotton Bowl, Jim Brock. Jim, you have seen 42 of these games. Ever anyone stranger than this?
I think it's been one of the most bizarre games I've ever attended here at the Mobile Cotton Bowl. But I'll tell you one thing, either football team could be way out there right now. But we got a heck of a defensive game between 2 well-coached football teams, and I think 2 of the best programs in America. And we're just happy to have them here.
They tell me you've got a crystal ball. What's going to happen here in the last 6:01?
Well, I think something bizarre is going to happen. That'll be this fit the tune of this game. Jim, it's nice to have everybody at CBS here.
Based on what we've seen, you're right, Jim. Let's go back upstairs to another Jim Ness.
The man called Haas. 2nd and 24 from the end zone. Richardson. Good catch, but they rule him out. Brian Mitchell did not have possession before he went out.
Richardson's pass intended for number 18.
Holding penalty really backed up the Aggies to the 6-yard line, and now they're facing 3rd and 24.
Yeah, now this is a good decision. You get the ball, you get it to the outside, maybe pick up 10, maybe 12 yards, but you're throwing it away. You can see to the outside, therefore you eliminate really the interceptions. You either catch it or you don't, but they don't get it. They don't get 10 yards either, or 12 yards, and now you're looking at a lousy position to be in.
3rd and 24, and they go to the shotgun, Terry. Richardson avoids the sack and the safety and gets it back to the 5. Kirk Carruthers chased him.
Pulled out at that point by number 45, Kirk Carruthers.
A year ago, Texas A&M set the all-time bowl record for any school with 65 points in the game. This one managing only 2. Davis's kick, a backward bounce, and touched at the 40. 35 yards on the punt, 5:17 to go in this one. Will Florida State hold on? Will the Seminoles rebound from the end of the season blues? We'll find out when we come back.
Warren Mitchell, number 18 for Texas A&M. Now, when he gets all the way across, instead of slowing down, he decides he'll just take it on out of bounds and leave the 10 remaining to see what they can do with the game. Had 11 on the field, misunderstanding obviously in the adjustments that were made, and Mitchell just carried it on out of bounds, left 10 guys out there, said, "The heck with you, I'll see you later."
10 on 11.
Buckley, you know, it was funny though, Buckley ran all the way out with him. Just said, "The heck with you, you're out of here."
5th time Florida State has had possession, taken possession in A&M territory. And here's Edgar Bennett. Nice shifty move. And Bennett's inside the 20. And quadruple teamed at the 17. That's a 23-yard run for Edgar Bennett.
Yeah, you look at runs like that against the defense, and you would have said earlier in the game that in the first 3 quarters, there's no way that this run would have happened. You know, the emotions were high, and A&M was still in it. But you got to believe that after a while, all the turnovers and the offense not being able to help you, that eventually, a little bit of your enthusiasm, your emotion level, it drops down a little bit, and then you get caught off guard, and then bang, there it is, a 22-yarder.
Sean Jackson will try the left side. And only a yard. Coriat has him again. Those two could be in line for the outstanding players of the game for offense and defense. Jackson has been the shining star offensively. Would you say, Terry?
Yeah, well, without question, I think Sean Jackson
Coriat
for Florida State's had I don't know how many yards. You said, what, he's got over 100 yards now?
Yes, he's over 100. Coriat with 15 tackles on the other side. Second, we'll call it 9 from the 16. Approaching 4 minutes remaining. Jackson again. Oh, Steve Solari with a hit on the outside and a loss of 2.
When you look at this defense, Steve Solari comes in and goes out. He switches up with Otis Neely, number 56. But Solari, another youngster in and out of the lineup. They got so many of them. You think about all the freshmen and sophomores on this Aggie football team. You can only imagine, just imagine how good they're going to be next year, and they're the #1 defense in the nation this year.
For A&M to have a chance, they must stop here. 3rd and 11 with 3:20 to go. Open running room for Jackson, and he is hit at the 10, short at the 1st. Football in the middle of the field for a field goal try.
Here comes Thomas.
Yep, Bowden calls on Thomas. Jerry Thomas, he missed from 37 yards in his only attempt.
You know, this kid's an amazing story. He's had a good